beating 3.
We are live on a Tuesday edition of the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Big Phils matchup down at Truist tonight in Atlanta, where the Phillies and Braves matchup. It's a huge pitching matchup. Wheeler faces Sale. Kind of an epic showdown here between the top two vote getters in the 2024 Cy Young race last year. We'll get into that matchup. Phil's lineup when it comes out. We'll see where Edmundo Sosa will be in the lineup. We can kind of get into that one a little bit here because, there's a lot of options for Sosa tonight. Sosa's the hot guy right now, right? He's the one that everybody is saying, you got to play him, you got to play him, you got to play him. But where do you play him tonight? Left-handed pitcher Chris Sale. Do you play him at second and just sit Stott? Do you play him in left and sit Kepler? Do you play him in center and sit Marsh? A lot of options here. So we'll dive into it. Get your thoughts on it, 609-403-0973. I want to get your thoughts, too. I think right now the biggest question for the Phillies is the bullpen. You got the whole Sosa, what to do with him, where to play him, right-handed bat, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, those are questions. But to win the World Series, they need to fix this bullpen problem. So I ask a question at 973 ESPN on the X platform, at 973 ESPN on the X platform, and I'll retweet that right now and pump it back up to the top. Right now, 54% of the Sports Bash listeners are voting with one guy over the other. If you could have the guy on the mound, ninth inning, one-run lead, who gets the ball for you if you're the Phillies? Is it Kerkering? Is it Alvarado? Is it Strom? Or is it Romano? Give us a vote at 973 ESPN. Ninth inning, one-run lead. Who do you trust the most right now? And I get it. These aren't great answers. But they're your only answers right now. I get it. You can throw it at me as well. You got to bring somebody in. Philly just do not have a guy in the minor leagues. They don't have that. Over the years, I've been the guy that says, I don't care about, the guy's 21 years old. If he's the best arm you got, go to him. Why do I need to see some 26-year-old who I know isn't better? Give me the 21-year-old kid. He doesn't know what mistakes he's made or can't make. I'd rather have the better arm out there. Problem for the Phillies is they don't have a better arm. They don't have a young arm. They don't have an electric guy. Remember, man, this is going back years now, the whatever Angels were back in the day. Were they an Anaheim Angels? Were they the L.A. Angels of Anaheim? Were they the Angels of Anaheim or wherever they were from? They brought up K-Rod, and he was just like 19, 20, 21 years. He was like a young kid. And they just said, look, this is the best guy we got. Let's just go to him. One thing that's driven me nuts over the years about the Phillies is they are so reluctant to give young players an opportunity. This team here right now is on the precipice of losing the window of winning a World Series. And for them to do it, they might have to do something bold. They beat the Dodgers. That's great. I think it heightened the expectations, though. When you showed the fans, we can go toe-to-toe with the Dodgers, now the fans are saying, I believe in you. And if I believe in you, you better believe in yourself. And if you're believing in yourself, you're telling me we will go no holds barred to try to get a World Series. And that might mean making a tough decision, which is, hey, maybe Brandon Marsh isn't the guy that can help us win a World Series. Maybe playing Bryson Stott every day at second base isn't the best way for us to win a World Series. Maybe having Jordan Romano trotting out there in the ninth inning right now. And full disclosure, I like the signing of Romano. So far through 5 games, I got him wrong. But if that's the case, the Phillies have to be willing to make tough decisions. And that might include Brandon Marsh. Hey, we got to have a tough discussion. It's time that we turn this position over to Justin Crawford. It's time that we do something where we didn't want to do this and we have to move on from Brandon Marsh. Or maybe, I don't think it's a quote-unquote tough decision to move on from Jordan Romano. But as Rob Thompson said the other day, he has a good track record, which means we got to give him a little bit longer of a rope. Well, how long's the rope for Jordan Romano? 609-403-0973. The text board is open all throughout the show. 403-0973. Hit us up on the text board. Let us know what you're thinking about this Phillies Sale matchup tonight against the Atlanta Braves. Now let's start with them. The Atlanta Braves are struggling 6 ways to Sunday. Every conceivable way you can struggle, they are on the struggle bus. They're not pitching well. They're not hitting well. They're not even playing very good defense at this stage of the game. They are 1-8, 6 games out of first place. They haven't won a game on the road. They're 1-1 at home. So far, this team inconceivably has been a dumpster fire. Many people pick them to win the East. Now, there's reasons why they've struggled a little bit. They're missing a couple of key guys. But, listen, this is a team that won the division 2 years in a row. One of the years they won a World Series without Ronald Acuna. So they have been well-versed in winning without some key players. But right now, they are having some big problems, big-time problems. And listen, it's not if you sweep the Braves, they would be 9 games out. That's a pretty insurmountable lead. I don't know if it's 100% lights out for the Braves. They probably could regroup. No team started the season 0-7 has ever made the playoffs. Now, that stat is a little bit outdated by the fact that there's a third wild card team now. Can the Braves go and win 85 games and be the wild card team? That's going to be tough for the National League, I'll tell you that much. Right now, and listen, we're 2 weeks into the season, so forget what right now looks like. However, it is an interesting thing to take a look at in this aspect. The Phillies are 7-2. I don't think they're going away. The Mets are 7-3. I don't imagine they're going away. They've won 5 in a row, by the way. If you're looking at wild card possibilities, if you're the Braves, the Padres are 9-2. The Giants are 8-2. The Dodgers are 9-3. And then there's the Diamondbacks who, went to the World Series 2 years ago. You got 4 teams out west that think they're a wild card team. You're going to tell me the 9-2 Padres are like, we're not a playoff team this year. The Giants have won 8 out of 10 to start the season. Now, that's a little bit of a surprise, but don't forget. All right, don't forget about the Giants. What did the Giants do this offseason? They made a couple moves that I think opened some eyes that said we think we're a better team. Adames they brought in, right? They did bring in Justin Verlander. I don't know that he's still the same pitcher that he was, but they decided to go out and go the veteran route. So here are the Giants early in the season, 8-2, which means the Braves have a lot of competition and a lot of teams that they have to now pass over. We always talk about why it's so hard when you are trying to move up. The Braves right now are dead last in the National League. They have to then jump over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams to get all the way up there. And that would include San Francisco, the Dodgers, and or the Mets just flaming out. You're 5.5 games behind the Mets right now. So that's a tough spot for the Braves. And the Phillies could add to that tonight by beating the Braves with Zack Wheeler on the mound. Now, Wheeler and Sale were the top 2 pitchers in the Cy Young voting last year. Sale won it. Some people had a problem with that. Not me so much. I think he was very deserving to win it. It wasn't like, oh, my God, what were the voters thinking? How could they have given this to Chris Sale? Well, he was really freaking good. That's how. I think if you basically flavor of the week here, which one did you like better? Did you like Sale better? Did you like Wheeler better? I don't think there was a wrong answer here. Sale ended up winning it. That being said, Sale has not pitched well to start this season. He is 0-2 on the young season. Wheeler's been outstanding this season so far. Now, this is the kind of game where if you're Zack Wheeler, you can really make an impact, make a splash, put your name out there. You're second right now. Wheeler is in the Cy Young voting right now, in the Cy Young odds, betting odds. Thank you. He is, yesterday was plus 500 behind Skeens. Skeens is still the top. If the Phillies win the division and Wheeler doesn't have the year that Skeens has, like maybe his number, like similar to last year, where it was close. Sale won the division, Wheeler won the division last year, and that wasn't enough for him to win it. But, like, the Phillies and the Pirates are going to be separated by 30 games maybe? I mean, potentially 20, 18 games. If their numbers are comparable, is that enough for Wheeler to overtake Skeens? Because the problem with Skeens is his team just isn't all that good. You would say, well, that doesn't mean you can't be the best pitcher in the league.
No, it doesn't, but we're not talking about exactly who is literally the best pitcher. We're talking about who is the guy who was, like, for example, you could be the best pitcher in baseball, but not have a great year necessarily.
Yeah, but so generally, do we just say it goes to the best pitcher regardless of team? Your team's performance has no bearing.
I mean, in years past with Felix Hernandez and Zack,
I'd have to look at who some of the other competitors were that year. Like, was there a pitcher on a good team that just didn't get it because, you know, there wasn't another good team, so they just said, hey, guess what? You're getting it this year. Zack Wheeler, 13 straight starts with at least 6 innings and 2 or few runs allowed. It's the longest streak since Felix Hernandez did it, 16 straight starts in 2014, and it's the longest in Phillies history. So Wheeler can add to that tonight if he goes at least 6 innings and 2 or fewer runs allowed. The Phillies 7-2 right now with a win. This would be their best start since 2010. And that goes back to last year where they were, 20? I mean, they jumped out of the gates last year. If the Phillies win this game, it will be their best start since 2010. So you're going back to the Rollins, Utley, Howard era here. Flip side of this, the Braves, it's the worst record in Major League Baseball. And with a loss tonight, this would be their worst start since 2016 when they started the year 1-9. And I don't think many people thought this was going to happen to this Braves team. So the Phillies can really add to the historical impact of the Braves not being a playoff team. And for some people, it might say, well, who the hell cares if the Braves make the playoffs, right? At this stage of the game, you might say, who cares if the Braves make the playoffs? Well, listen, the Braves are going through a lot of injuries right now. And if this team gets healthy, they could be a dangerous team if they get their act together. So I don't want to see – look, the Braves are a team that you have handled. You have done a great job against them. You beat them twice when they were, quote-unquote, the favorites. But do we want to take a chance of having the script flipped the third time, where you win the division by 18 games, and then they're the 83-win wild card team? How's that gone for the Phillies over the years, where you've played the 84, 85-win team in the playoffs, thinking that we got the Cardinals, we got the Giants, we've got the Diamondbacks? How has that gone for the Phillies?
Not so
good.
Yeah. By the way, so to your question about Felix Hernandez, so the year he won the Cy Young, which was 2010, he finished the year with a 13-12 record. But he led all of Major League Baseball in ERA. In second place that year was David Price. He had a 19-6 record, but he had a 2.72 ERA. So it's basically half a run worse. Hernandez pitched more innings that year, and Hernandez had way more strikeouts than Price. Third that year was Sabathia.
Well, what was Price's team?
The Rays.
No, where were they in the standings is what I'm saying.
Oh, where were they in the standings?
Yeah, like, David Price was the next best, but where were they in the standings? What year is this? 2016?
2010.
2010.
The Rays were 96 and 66.
Okay, so they're a good team.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, if Wheeler and Skeens have similar years, right now the Pirates are 4-7.
By the way, another one for you. Remember Jacob deGrom?
I've heard of him.
2018, he had a 10-9 record. He won the Cy Young. He beat out Max Scherzer, who was 18-7 that year. But DeGrom had almost a run less per game ERA.
Yeah, I we'll see. I mean, right now, those two guys.
By the way, 2018, third place in Cy Young voting.
Is what, Nola, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I remember that. And Nola, by the way, that year has killed him because everybody wants him to be back to the guy that was the third in the Cy Young balloting. Right now, Cy Young, here you go. Paul Skeens plus 150, Zack Wheeler plus 500. Actually, Schwellenbach, who you're going to see tomorrow, he is fourth at plus 1,200. Christopher Sanchez is plus 2,500, as is Christopher Sale. And if you want to go to Luzardo, he would be next at plus 4,500 for the Phillies.
It's wild that he's that low.
I kind of like the Luzardo pick. You know, when we did our show preview at Maynard's 2 weeks ago,
Luzardo was your guy you picked out.
Luzardo was my team MVP.
Yeah.
Right. I had him as the team MVP, and I had him over Wheeler for reasons like this. Wheeler's getting stuck facing Sale. Luzardo, when he pitches, he's going up against Sawyer. So he's got a better pitching matchup than generally Wheeler is going to go up and match up against the number one. Now, Luzardo is in that number 2 slot in the thing, but as the season matriculates, he should kind of – it'll be weird. Like, if the playoffs started today, and it's so early to say that. I know it's asinine almost to say that, but I'm imagining Luzardo would pitch game 2.
I'm assuming that the starting rotation would be.
Well, the question is, they want to break up the lefties. So would Luzardo pitch 2, Nola 3, and Sanchez? That means Sanchez wouldn't pitch in the first round.
No, he wouldn't.
So do you go back-to-back lefty? Well, if you swept.
If you swept,
If you swept, then the fourth pitcher doesn't need
Well, the
to
other
pitch.
thing is they like to start Sanchez at home. So, like, is it a situation where, like, if you're the home team, do you play Sanchez game 2?
That's what they did last year.
Right.
They pitched him in game 2 against the Mets, and then Nola went on the road.
By the way, they won that game. It's the only game they won that series.
But now would that be Luzardo's game?
Or do you stick with Sanchez because you like him better at home?
They're going to have, and then I'll throw this into the mix.
Throw it out there.
It's a Tuesday. We're getting a little crazy here. We had an off night last night. I finished that show Adolescence last night. Have you heard about this?
I heard of it from you.
It is riveting, man.
Really?
It's 4 episodes, and apparently they shot the show all continuously live.
Okay, so
they never took a break. Like, so you get in a car and take a car ride, you follow them the whole car ride.
Oh, okay.
And you're literally listening to them just have their conversation. The 3rd episode is one of the best performances, period. This kid, I don't know how old the kid is in the show. He's portrayed as a 13-year-old. But he's in the room with the psychiatrist, and they're going back and forth. It's the entire episode. The 2 of them, that's it.
So basically the whole episode is a one-shot in the room with the psychiatrist.
She goes in and out a handful of times because
But you stay in the room.
Well, they follow her to the snacks machine. They follow her back, but there is no cutaways. They don't say like she walks out the door and then you like go to a different scene. The scene just follows them the whole way. So, like, if you're going for a walk.
That's interesting photography.
If you're going. We were reading something like where to do this, they had drones that were, like, following stuff all over the place. I mean, because there was times where the premise of the show is there's a 13-year-old kid, he's up for murder. And they bring him into the police office to get, to go down. He's got to get, to get sentenced. And he's doing his fingerprints. And the guy's like, okay, right thumb, okay, right middle index finger, right middle finger. But he does it for both hands. And you're like, okay, I don't need to hear him tell the guy to do every single finger. But it's continuously shooting the shot. So he has to tell him right thumb, right middle, right ring, right pinky, left, all the way through. The show it's 4 episodes. I wouldn't say I was like, it just... It is, I don't even know how to describe it. You feel terrible for the family.
I mean, it's basically fictional voyeurism.
A little bit.
It's fictionalized voyeurism.
You feel terrible for
Like you're
the
getting
family, specifically the dad. The dad, you feel, I mean, he feels like a sense of responsibility.
like he let the kid down or something.
I don't want to give something away here, but I mean,
Okay,
he
my
said
bad.
he feels a sense of responsibility, and just I'll leave it at that.
I asked too many questions. Got it.
It's only 4 episodes. It's
And what
worth
platform
your
is it on?
time. Netflix.
Okay, Netflix.
Yeah. So we're watching this last night. That's no Phillies last night, so it went down that road.
So you knocked that out.
I did, and I've had a lot of people tell me to watch this. So we were gonna watch Love on the Spectrum season 3. The new season 3 is out.
I've heard of that show. I never watched it, but I've heard of it.
Very interesting. We watched the first couple of seasons of that. There's a new season out now, but we chose to watch this because we watched the first 2 episodes the other night, so we finished it up last night. But now the Phillies are back, all right? I like this text message. Mike, could you see the Phillies try and put Aiden Miller on second if Stott struggled? I don't know if they would play him at second. No, I don't see that. It's a far-fetched, and whoever that text message was from, I appreciate it because I did say in my preseason pick that Crawford and or Miller or both will make an impact this year. I contend, and this will be interesting because of the Sosa people out there, I contend if Trey Turner got hurt for an elongated period of time, season ending, 2 to 3 months, I think they would go to Miller at short ahead of Sosa. Now, I think Sosa would probably get the first crack of it until he started to get figured out.
Gotcha.
Like last year. They let him go for the first month. He did well. He hit like 350 or whatever it was. And then as teams started to see more and more of Sosa, he really struggled in July. And at that point, after the All-Star break, I think they would say, we're going to call Miller up. But I don't think they would play him at a different position.
Well, the reason why I want to point to you talking about Miller and Crawford, I want to remind people of what John Middleton said on the Philly Show podcast, because the initial question was about, them potentially, would they consider trading any of their prospects? He gives you a timeline on how close these guys are to the major league level.
These guys are now, Painter's virtually here.
Right.
I think Crawford could easily be up here if he has a good, couple of months at AAA. Miller's could charge in hard. I think those 3 guys in particular, they're close enough to be MLB ready that I think you'd have to have a really spectacular trade to think about trading even any of those people.
Good insight. John Middleton, the owner of the team, he said Miller's charging hard.
And they said basically they're all almost MLB ready now.
Yeah, so I don't think they would play him at second, though. I don't think you're going to listen, unless he was playing second at Double-A and I didn't know. I doubt that. I think he's playing shortstop. If they were saying, look, there's a chance that you could play some second base at the major league level, I think he's played some third last year. I don't know that he's played second, and I don't think they would just call him up and say, hey, we're calling you up and we're going to move you to second base. They are going to have a conundrum moving forward here because he's going to be ready to play next year. Miller will be ready to play next year.
So in the Phillies minor league system, he has only ever played shortstop.
All right.
He has no games logged, according to Baseball Reference, at any other position but shortstop.
So there you go. Yeah, I don't think they've moved him the second to that text message. Good afternoon, Mike. It's Bobby from Delaware. Well, hi, Bobby from Delaware. How are you, sir? He says, that was a great miniseries. Adolescence was awesome. Definitely gut-wrenching. This conversation better than odds on Cy Young. Love on the Spectrum. Another great show. Yeah, the Adolescence show was gut-wrenching. That's a I said riveting, gut-wrenching. It's slow at times, but you're just like, wow.
You're captivated.
Very captivating, yes. Brad Pitt, I think, is one of the producers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it is a British show.
Fine.
For the people, we have to use the closed captioning.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They say a lot of things, and they speak really fast, and because the kid's, quivering a lot when he talks.
I was going to say I'm not Billy Schwein. I'm not against other countries.
No, I'm just saying, we needed that because of how fast and they actually used some terms which I didn't know what they meant or what they were. So,
Well, for example, if you ever watch the one Conor McGregor documentary, you have to watch it in closed caption because
well, we watch everything in closed captioning.
Oh, you watch everything?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm old now.
How long have you been doing that for?
About a year.
A year?
Maybe longer.
Like,
Yeah.
was it something that you were like against and then you eventually gave in kind of deal?
No, not against, just had to. Like, can't understand, can't hear, just put them up there. Now we're used to everything in closed captioning.
Gotcha.
All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. When the Phillies lineup's out, we have it for you here. And we're looking to see where Sosa plays tonight. Will he be in the lineup, or the Phillies are going to go with their regular opening day lineup? All that and more, plus the opportunity for you to be a part of this year's Eagles draft party is now. That's right. Caller 7-609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. Caller number 7. You are in for this year's Sports Bash Eagles draft party live at Ocean Casino Resort at Topgolf Swing Suite. We'll see you there, and every qualifier has a chance to win a pair of Eagles Club Box tickets for a game at Lincoln Financial Field this season. Plus, we have other great prizes all throughout the show, like an overnight stay at Ocean Casino Resorts, tickets to shows at Ocean Casino Resort, and more. Caller 7 right now. Here's the number, 609-573-3776. Caller 7, good luck. 2:34, Phillies and the Braves tonight. So these are the Phillies' numbers against Chris Sale tonight. Anybody really stand out? Let's take a look. I'm Mike Gill, at Mike Gill Show. By the way, Harris is our qualifier from EHT. What's up, Harris? Another chance for you to qualify. Bonus chances all throughout the day. Listen for your chance to qualify. Now, Harris has a chance to win Eagles club box seats for a game at the Link this year. All right, these are the Phillies against Chris Sale this year. Just to throw in some possibilities of who might play and who might not. We know lineups are very analytically based. So if you're looking at Sosa, who has 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts against Chris Sale, who he might be in the lineup for. Well, Brandon Marsh and Bryson Stott have never faced Chris Sale. It's a pretty good indication that neither one of those guys will be in the lineup tonight. So my guess is that he will play second base.
So you think Sosa will be at second?
Based on this, Stott and Marsh have never faced him, which
Right.
tells me I don't think today is the day where you're like, I got a great idea. Let's put our 2 worst hitters against lefties. Let's throw them into the lineup tonight. I
Right.
think this is a clear
Against
night.
the Sidewinder.
Yeah, I think it's a clear night where you're going to get Sosa, I would predict, at second base, and Rojas will be in center field. He has 2 plate appearances against Sale. He struck out and he got hit by a pitch. So not a huge resume here. The guy who's faced him the most is Kepler. He's faced him
Of the left-handed
hitters. He's faced him 6 times. He has struck out 3 times. He hit a double. He got hit twice. So there's not a lot of history. Oddly enough, Sale, because he pitched in Boston, faced Kepler in the American
and
League.
Chicago, yeah.
Yeah, he was in the American League. So Castellanos has faced him the most, 19 strikeouts in 46 plate appearances. Not great. Harper's 1 for 3 with a strikeout. Schwarber's 1 for 6. It was a home run. Bohm is actually the best guy you got. So I would imagine Bohm's at third. So my prediction will be this, all right?
Your predicted lineup.
Turner, Harper, Bohm, Schwarber, Castellanos, Real Muto, Sosa, Rojas.
Who's playing left field?
Kepler, I forgot about. So Kepler would be there before, maybe right after Sosa. Probably split Sosa. So Sosa 7, Kepler 8, Rojas 9. That would be my guess. Because I don't think you're going to have Stott and or Marsh in the lineup against Sale. They've never hit against him.
Right.
So that kind of tells me every time they get matched up against him, which isn't a lot, by the way, because you see Harper's 1 for 3. So I don't know how many times Sale has faced the Phillies. I mean, that can't be all that much.
He hasn't played them much, no.
Yeah.
He hasn't pitched many games against them overall. So I did think it was interesting, though, that if you take the entire Phillies roster currently constructed, Mike, there are 9 hit by the pitch between all the Phillies players.
Well, the Phillies have so many lefties, and he has that kind of slingshot motion that he, comes kind of sidewinding at you from the left side. Now, he has really struggled this year in 2 starts. He's got a 5.40 ERA, but this team in general has struggled. But he has struggled himself. He wasn't terrible in his second game. He wasn't great in his first game. He wasn't terrible in his second game. He's on my fantasy team, so I watched his first 2 starts a little bit here and there. The first game, he was much better, I should say, in his second game than he was the first game. The first game, he was not good at all.
Yeah.
By the way, against the Phillies for his career, he is, against the Phillies in his career, he has pitched 4 times. And he is, against the Phillies, he has pitched 4 times. He's 1-2 with a ERA of 4.63. So not great. So that would be my lineup tonight, I think. That's what I think you're going to see. Turner, Harper, Bohm, Schwarber, Castellanos, Real Muto, Sosa, Kepler, Rojas. That would be my guess. All right?
I can work with that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you're going to have – I think everybody got juiced up by what Thompson said the other day about Sosa. He was asked if Sosa would be a candidate to play in the outfield. And he said, would you start him in the outfield? Would you consider starting him in the outfield? And Thompson, without hesitation, said, yeah, I would. I mean, short, simple, to the point. Yeah, I would. So I imagine most people think because he was asked the question and he answered it so quickly that he would immediately do that. But tonight is probably not the night to do it because you're facing a lefty that your second baseman has struggled against. Because here's the problem. You have 3 potential spots for him, right? Second, center, or left. They're the lefties that struggle against left-handed pitchers. So you can only really get 2 of them out of the lineup. You don't have another option. He's the only guy on the bench that plays second that's right-handed. I mean, because Cody Clemens could essentially play if you wanted to, but he's left-handed. This is where not having Buddy Kennedy probably hurts him a little bit. You could play Buddy Kennedy today at second.
You could have.
And then try Sosa in the outfield.
Yep.
If you wanted to go that route. Now, the theory of, hey, your ace is on the mound in Wheeler that I don't want to put a guy who's never played the outfield before. I can kind of get behind that notion. Here's what I would say to that. The Phillies, correct me if I'm wrong, have had some of the lousiest left fielders of your lifetime. They stuck Rhys Hoskins in the outfield. Now, why he was terrible out there, he was still competent enough to catch the ball hit in the air to him. That's all you're really asking for Sosa. And let me tell you something. Sosa, I have a hunch, is significantly more graceful than Rhys Hoskins,
Yes.
who wasn't even good at first base, his natural position. They stuck Rhys Hoskins in left field and said, have at it, buddy. Here's a glove. Go catch it. I mean, was he competent? Put it this way. He was equally competent in left field as he was at first base, which was his natural. So I don't have any real qualms about putting Sosa in left field. Look, this is a team, the Phillies, who I've watched Pete Incaviglia play left field, Greg
Pat
Luzinski, Pat Burrell. I mean, you're telling
Ron
me
Gant.
Sosa can't be more competent in left field than any of those guys? So I don't have a problem putting Sosa out in left field sight unseen. I've never seen him play left field. Never. I mean, I don't even know if he played the left field. I know he played a little bit of outfield in the spring. But I don't know that he even played left. I think he played more center field, maybe. Now, he played center field.
He got reps in center in spring training.
Now, I know he played center on Saturday night, and sure enough, he had 2 balls hit to him. And what do you know? He caught them.
What an idea.
Well, I don't know that Rhys Hoskins would catch the ball hit to him in left field all the time. But my point is, if a big league team can put Rhys Hoskins in left field, that same big league team shouldn't have much of a problem trying to put Edmundo Sosa out there. Now, you might expect a blunder here or there, but I think for the most part, he's going to catch the ball if it's hit to him. I mean, he's not an idiot.
By the way, Sosa does have 2 games that he has played in left field in his baseball major league career.
Okay, I think the Phillies may have stuck him out there, as a defensive, not a defensive replacement, but where maybe late in the game where he hit for somebody and they didn't have a move to make, and it's like, hey, man, just go stand in left field.
Yeah, he didn't start any of those games in left
Something
field.
tells me that Sosa would be just fine out there. I mean, the guy is a Gold Glove level shortstop. I mean, he is an excellent shortstop, and if you can play shortstop, you are generally athletic enough to be able to catch a ball playing left field. So,
Mike,
Am I advocating it tonight? Not necessarily. Like tonight, I got Wheeler pitching. I don't want a guy who's never played left field shagging flies out there for my Cy Young Award guy. But I think moving forward here, the answer that Rob Thompson gave you is I feel pretty good about playing him in left field. Look, I have converted many a kid to left field or right field or outfield. You know, you hit them 500 fly balls in a day, and by the third day you've hit him about 500 fly balls. You feel pretty comfortable, like, okay, this guy can catch. Now, am I expecting him to move mountains out there? Not necessarily, but if there's a ball just hanging up in the air, I think that guy can catch it.
Yeah. By the way, may I remind people, at one time, the Phillies put Vince Velasquez in left field.
Well, that was really out of necessity, but yes, it did happen.
He threw a guy out of home plate, remember?
He became a cold hero after that game. Harris and EHT will congratulate you one more time. Thanks for listening, Harris. And don't forget, Harris and everybody else out there, you can watch the show on your phone, on your home TV, on your tablet, wherever you get YouTube video or the X platform. Just search Mike Gill Show, at Mike Gill Show. Hey, we're going to update the poll question. 9th inning, 1-run lead right now. Who you turning to? Is it Kerkering? Is it Alvarado? Is it Strom? Or is it Romano? I mean, some people out there might want to hope that Romano still gives them something. By the way, he's got votes. So he didn't get 0%. He's got votes. Right now, the breakdown is 54, 21, 16, and 7. We'll break it down for you coming up next on the Sports Bash. Josh, who do you think they voted for?
Well, I know who I voted for.
So you know the answers. When you vote, you get the percentages.
I do, but this was about like 2-3 hours ago.
All right, well, don't break the news to us, all right? More Sports Bash coming up. Phillies fans, you're up 1 in the bottom of the 9th. Who do you want on the mound? Kerkering, Alvarado, Strom, Romano. Vote now. I'll give you the update coming up next on the Sports Bash. All right, so we're going to update the poll question in just a second. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. Josh Henney's my producer. So, Josh, I asked the question. You're up 1 in the bottom of the ninth. Who do you want on the mound right now? Kirkering, Alvarado, Strom, Romero. Who'd you vote for?
I voted for Alvarado because to me, he is right now the best option of those four.
Well, 57% agree with you. Alvarado is the guy you want on the mound.
Smart people.
20% want Strom, 16% Kirkering.
I thought Kirkering would have had more votes.
Yeah,
than
me
that.
too, and only 7% Romano.
It must be with Jordan Romano's family.
You think they're following 97.3's X platform?
Everyone's following 97.3 ESPN.
Well, you got time to vote. We'll do it throughout the show. By the way, congratulations to Josh. He came in third in our 90-person NCAA tournament bracket.
Yeah, apparently I got 52 picks right, but some of those picks were early in the round, so I didn't count as many points.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. You know, like me, for instance, this is a clear sign of how the whole tournament matters. I ended up finishing in like 6th or 7th or 8th or something. I was in like 60th before the final. I hit all Final Four teams, and then I got the championship game right, and then I got the winner right.
Right.
But I did so bad early in the bracket that I could not catch up. So I was constantly in like 60th place, 58th place. I just couldn't get there. I think in the end, let's see, I finished 8th.
Top 10's still pretty darn good, though.
Yeah, I finished, the winner had 176. That guy killed it. He had 51 correct. You're right. You had 52 correct.
But they didn't count for as many points.
No, because there was another guy who had 52, but he had less than me. I had 155 points. The winner had 176. Second place got 169, and then you had 167. And then there was a drop-off down to 161, 159, 158, and then I had 155. I got 45 right, but that's the thing. I got 45 right. Out of all the people, 45 right, I'm looking at...
You had all four Final Four, didn't you?
I did. I had all 4 Final Four.
See, I only had 3 of the 4.
And I got the championship game right, and I got the winner right. But I only got 45 right in general. Those 45 right is one of the lowest of the whole tournament, and I still finished in 8th because I nailed the Final Four, the final game, and the champion.
Right.
But congratulations to Josh. He finished in 3rd. Drinks are on him on Happy Hour Friday. Where are we going?
Somewhere good.
Somewhere good. Hey, I got some good news right now. First 3 people to text 609 403 0973. 609 403 0973. Include your text the word draft with your name and where you're from. Draft your name and where you're from to 609 403 0973. You will be entered for a chance to win Eagles Club Box tickets for a home game this season at Lincoln Financial Field at our Eagles draft party at Ocean Casino Topgolf. Good luck. 3 o'clock, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. What's up, everybody? Fun Tuesday with the Phils tonight, taking on the Braves. Frank Close, 97.3 ESPN.com. His Phillies mailbag appears on our website every Tuesday at 97.3 ESPN.com. We'll get some Phillies thoughts from him. But first, Griffin in EHT, Jack in Cape May Courthouse, Shaner in EHT. You had the 3 fastest fingers. You were in first of many text messages trying to get an entry into this year's draft party. We'll have another chance for you coming up in about 25 minutes from now. Listen for that sounder for your cue to call. Bonus chances throughout the show, and that's all right here on the Sports Bash. Frank Close covers the Phillies for 97.3 ESPN.com, and he joins me right now with another edition of the Phillies mailbag here on the Sports Bash. Frank, what's up, buddy?
Not much. How are you, Mike?
All good. Big game tonight. Sale versus Wheeler. Let's start with that. The pitching matchup. Wheeler finished second to Sale in the Cy Young. Sale's not got off to a great start, but the Braves in general have not gotten off to a good start, Frank. Are you writing the Braves off yet? Are you already saying, I've seen enough of this team that they just don't have it, something's not right, it's just not going to get back together? No team has made the playoffs when they started 0-7. It's been 42 years since the team started 0-7 and even got to a winning record. Does anything deter you from thinking the Braves will be a playoff team this year?
Braves have a lot of talent still, and they're only going to get better when Ronald Acuna Jr. comes back and Spencer Strider comes back. But let's face it, their bullpen is absolutely atrocious. They've been going through reliever after reliever after reliever. Hector Neris, quick DFA after he made a few appearances, and it wasn't so much that they were giving up on Neris completely. It was they needed fresh arms, and they brought up Jesse Chavez, who's like 94 years old at this point, and he got another opportunity. He was quickly released. So they just have a turnstile going in their bullpen, and they can't seem to get their feet under them. So, it is very, very early, but you don't want to be 7 games behind the Phillies this quickly, right? Because 7 games are still a lot to make up, even though it is very early in the year. I would imagine they get better as time goes on, but I think this is more an indictment to the front office of the Braves. They did not do much at all this offseason. The only real game-changing player that they signed would be Jurickson Profar, and then he got busted for PEDs with the first week of the season. So it's not a good time for the Braves right now. They traded Jorge Soler for no real good reason. I don't really know what they were doing in this offseason. I don't know if they felt that with Acuna and Strider not starting the year, they just weren't going to try. But the Braves have a lot of talent still, but they still have many deficiencies. And I think they're digging themselves into a really big hole right now. I can't say they can't overcome it, but that's a lot of games behind the Phillies come 9 games into the season.
Yeah, I mean, if the Phillies, let's just hypothetically say it swept this series, they'd be 9 games out already this early in the season. That's a lot to overcome. Not to mention, it's not only the Phillies who would be jumping out to great starts. It's the Padres. It's the Giants. It's the Dodgers. You have the Diamondbacks out west. You got 4 teams out west right now that probably think they're all playoff teams. Well, they can't all be, and that includes the Braves and the Mets. And the Mets are off to a pretty good start now. They've won 5 in a row. So you cannot continue to keep – so the Phillies can do something to the Braves this weekend. I know it seems ridiculous this early in the season, but they can really put a big hurt on them. So let's get into the mailbag. And, of course, if you want to get a live question on the air for Frank, you can text in your Phillies question now at 609-403-0973. Let's get to a Phillies question live. Shaner in EHC says, guys, any chance you can address all the Bohm hate? As you know, he's one of my favorite guys. Optimistic that he'll lead the team offensively for most of the season. He's a bit emotional, but is that not allowed? What do you think is up with Bohm right now?
I thought he looked really good this spring. He seemed like he was back to making a lot of contact. I don't know if the early season he's feeling a little bit of extra pressure because he watched all the hullabaloo around Aiden Miller in spring training. It's possible that he's thinking too much about that, but I still believe he's a very good contact hitter and will help the Phillies here a lot this season. So I certainly have not. I certainly have not written him off. He was one of the ones to have one of those new torpedo bats. hopefully that's not messing with swings if people are experimenting with these new bats. But once he seems to calm down and settle in, he seems to play just fine. So hopefully he's not too concerned about things that he really shouldn't be concerned about right now.
Do you think he got benched on Sunday? Was that why you think he wasn't in the lineup? I mean, they had a day off yesterday, so why was he off on Sunday?
They had to play Sosa. I think that had a lot to do with it. And they, when you look around the mound, look at who's on the mound across from you, and it's going to be a righty. You probably aren't going to sit one of your lefties. So I think that was more a nod to Sosa than it was something against Bohm.
All right, let's get to some of the big questions, as many people are wondering. Greg included says the Phillies have 3 high leverage spot options in the bullpen. Romano is killing this pen, can't be trusted. Is it possible to make a move now as opposed to closer to the deadline to firm up the pen? Dombrowski has to be concerned. That's from Greg.
Yeah, it's very fair to say that Romano, who was really their number 1 relief acquisition this offseason, is leaking oil. He looked really good in the spring, but thinking back on it, he probably came in late in the games against a lot of the minor leaguers. He actually had a 0.00 ERA in spring training in 9 outings. But I think right now the thing that's a real concern about Romano is his velocity. When he was an all-star closer, he was averaging over 96 miles an hour. Now he's like 3 to 4 miles below that. And, even he himself, I believe, said the other day that Romano felt like his velocity increased throughout his outing. But, that's going to be a big adjustment. And one of Romano's weaknesses is he has a really high leg kick. So if you get somebody on base, they're stealing bases. Everybody seems to know that when Romano's on the mound, you try to steal a base. And so that kind of exacerbates anybody getting on base when he's on the mound. So the Phillies, this early, they do have options, as Greg said, right? So they don't need to overly panic right now. But I think it's fair to say that you need to put Romano into some lower leverage situations while he works things out, if he can work things out. We saw that last year with Taijuan Walker. His velocity dip really made him a batting practice pitcher. Walker looked a lot better when we saw him face the Rockies the other day. So I think here you're going to need to let him get into some lower leverage situations. Try to take advantage of those arms that you have in the bullpen, the Jose Alvarados, Matt Strahm. I think both of them can face righties. I don't think you need to just pigeonhole at the end of the bullpen your lefty righty all the time. Those are 2 very good arms that they have there that can handle the 9th inning if they need to, and 8th inning. And Ryan Kerkering, maybe he's got to step up a little bit more. I know they were trying not to put him too deep into the bullpen just yet, but he might be able to step up. And by the way, I like Joe Ross a lot. I think he could be somebody who moves further back into the bullpen. And so you can try to use Romano in situations where it's not as tight. A game like today, you probably want to see Wheeler give you 7 and then rely on Strahm and Alvarado to get you to the end. But there will be some games where the Phillies are up big or down big, and that would be the opportunity, I think, to get Romano in there and see if he can work through these mechanics. But trade deadline's a long ways away. Phillies have other options. I think they're just going to work through this for now.
Well, let me ask you this question as a follow-up then. Are you okay with Alvarado if he's the closer in the playoffs?
Yes. I think he looks really good this year. I think that Alvarado is a very good option to have back there. Now, you never know who's going to be available at the deadline until you get there. But I mean, certainly if there's an all-star closer available somewhere, although I don't know where you're going to find such a thing anymore, you might want to be in on such a guy for that. But I think he's their best option right now.
Well, the fans agree with you right now. You're up 1 in the bottom of the 9th. Who do you want on the mound? Right now, Alvarado, 49%, although that number has dropped a little bit. He was up pretty considerably. Strahm at 30, Kerkering at 14, and there's Romano down there at 5.5% for Romano. So people are kind of bailed on him. But people agree with you right now, Frank. Alvarado would be the choice at 973 ESPN. You get over there and vote on that one. I guess I would ask, you would know more than anybody else I know, Frank. Is there anybody in the organization, a young arm, somebody can come up, high strikeouts per 9 kind of guy, or does that guy just not exist in this organization right now?
Well, you might be waiting for Andrew Painter to try to move some things around. Hey, if Ranger Suarez comes back, You can see what Taijuan Walker can do in the bullpen. And by the way, Mick Abel has actually looked pretty good so far down at AAA. He's touched a 97 on his fastball. I mean, maybe he could work himself into the equation. Kind of the forgotten prospect in the Phillies system is Mick Abel, and who knows, could be him down the line. If he's throwing 97 and he's hitting his spots, maybe he could be somebody that steps up for you. But no, there's really no
I like
other
that
real
outside
air
the box
apparent.
thinking, hey, we don't have a spot for you as a closer long term, but maybe we turn you and your stuff into as a starter, maybe we turn you and your stuff into a back end of the bullpen guy.
Yeah, I think he bears some watching. You knew Mick Abel was better than the performance he gave last year at AAA, so hopefully he gets it together because he was very highly thought of as a prospect years prior. Just last year he seemed to lose it completely and fell off the rails. But it's nice to see him off to a good start at AAA.
Yeah, he was a first-round pick right before Andrew Painter. So you had Painter and Abel, those two guys, and Griff McGarry has kind of fell off the face of the earth as well.
AA right now.
Exactly. So those were the three arms. Painter, I wouldn't imagine, Frank, and I'll get your opinion on this, I wouldn't imagine they would bring Painter up and then use him in the bullpen. You probably want him pitching on regular rotation, not like, hey, we need you today, we need you 2 days from now, we need you on so I would imagine he will have like some sort of pitch limit and something when he actually does get the call. He will pitch on Friday down in Clearwater.
Yep, the plan, at least as it was in spring training when I was down there, he's gonna be a starter. Period. That sounds like what they're gonna do with him. So, yeah, he's gonna start on Friday in Clearwater. Definitely be at a pitch limit. Probably won't pitch that many innings. A lot of times when someone's rehabbing like that, you might see them throw 3, and then saving some of those innings for later and help him build his strength up. So, Painter could bump somebody to the bullpen though. I mean, it wouldn't. If Ranger Suarez is healthy and he ends up having to help out in the bullpen, he did a really good job with that before. But I don't want to project too much into the future because, as we know, injuries are unpredictable and you never know where you might find yourself on any given day. But Painter probably going to be a starter, and that's it.
All right. Before we get to the next mailbag question, I want to ask you about Sosa. Number one, I would imagine he's in the lineup today. Frank, where do you think he'll play?
Well, Mike, when we spoke last week, I mentioned that I was surprised the Phillies didn't use him in the spring in center field. They only gave him a little bit in left. Well, where did he make an appearance on Saturday? Center field. I think Edmundo Sosa needs to be in this lineup against Chris Sale, and I would not be totally shocked if he ended up starting in center field. They showed their hand. They're willing to give it a shot, even late in the game, that as it was on Saturday. But I think there's a shot there. You need Edmundo Sosa into this lineup today. You're probably going to replace one of the lefties. I think maybe Marsh needs the day first. Maybe then Kepler. Stott's playing too well to take out a lineup, in my opinion. So I wouldn't be shocked if you see Sosa starting in the outfield tonight.
I will say, we talked about this earlier. Stott, Marsh have never faced Sale in their careers. Kepler has faced him 6 times before. But, yeah, you would figure he's either going to play second for Stott, possibly his first ever start in center field, although you could possibly look at Rojas in center. And I don't know, do you throw Sosa in left field? That would be a kind of a gutsy thing to do on a night, put him out there in the outfield. But if you have Rojas in center, that helps you out a little bit. Hey, I'll cover a little ground for you out there.
Yeah, I'm really not sure they're ready to go into the platoon stuff. I mean, Max Kepler actually hits better against lefties than righties. So you might want him in left field. If it's me making the lineup card, I would want Max Kepler in left field. His bat would be better than you would get out of a Rojas. So if it's me writing the lineup card, I would put Sosa in center field tonight.
Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that. That lineup should be coming out here momentarily.
Usually while I'm on, right?
Well, they're playing a little later tonight. It's 7:15, I think, is the start. So maybe a little couple minutes extra. Tim wants to know, and everybody else, how much longer does Brandon Marsh get the opportunity to start? I would imagine every day is the part of question here, or maybe just in general. I mean, do they just bail on him altogether? I doubt that, but give us your thoughts on that question.
Well, they seemed to give up on the idea of a platoon, and they said to Brandon Marsh going into the season that center field was going to be his. He was going to face lefties. He was going to face righties. Unfortunately, he's not really hitting against either. And if you look at his numbers, he's batting 174 of that, 222 against lefties and only 143 against the righties. That's the side of the platoon that he was accustomed to playing in previous years. So, but I think it's hard to draw too much of a conclusion this early. I don't think he's going to hit 174 all season, much like I don't think Edmundo Sosa is going to hit 550 all season, right? So I think you're going to see some improvement there. They call it a batting average for a reason. What's going to be the average throughout the end of the season? But I think he needs to have at bats. I don't know if I want to see Marsh necessarily face Chris Sale tonight, but he's got to get some regular at bats. Or this could be the good challenge for him, or it could be that maybe they pinch hit for him later in the game if he's not doing anything. But he's got to show he can hit lefties. He's got to show he can hit righties. And meanwhile, down at AAA, Justin Crawford hitting 286 in the early going, 4 stolen bases. I think that's worth mentioning in this conversation here.
I do too, and I wanted to get your take. Give me a % chance that you think Crawford would be the everyday center fielder by August.
By August, oh geez, that's a tough one. I'm going to go 51. I think this is still very much a toss-up at this time. You know
John Middleton did say on John Clark's podcast that he thinks, Crawford is right there, and Miller, that these two guys are right on the doorstep of coming in. Here's what John Middleton said. This was on the Takeoff podcast with John Clark. Say again? The Philly Show podcast, with Todd Zalecki, Ruben Amaro, and Jim Salisbury. Take a listen.
These guys are now, Painter's virtually here.
Right.
I think Crawford could easily be up here if he has a good, couple of months at AAA. Miller's could charge in hard. I think those 3 guys in particular, they're close enough to be MLB ready that I think you'd have to have a really spectacular trade to think about trading even any of those people.
All right, so he said Crawford will virtually be here if he has a couple of strong months, so could even be earlier than August.
Yeah, I say more likely than not at this point, but there's still a long ways to go. I don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse here. You have to be totally sure that there is an opening for him to play in center field. A lot of that will be on how well Brandon Marsh does over the coming weeks. But for me, I think he's on this roster, not necessarily starting. I would put that at 100% almost before the end of the season, unless he's hurt or something. But I think he's going to find his way onto the roster. His speed, if nothing else, is going to help come playoff time. But the question will be, who in that outfield is underperforming that there's room for him all of a sudden? But I think you need more time to figure that out and make sure that he can hit the AAA pitching. He's off to a decent start. 286 isn't lighting the world on fire, but that could translate to enough in the major leagues. So I think you need to let this play out a little bit longer before you come up to any conclusions.
All right, Tony has a question, and we kind of hit a little bit on this, but we asked where he might play today. But how can the Phillies get Edmundo Sosa more at bats just in general?
Well, everybody's going to.
I guess we should follow up with, should he get more at bats, or are they using him the right way? We had people texting in, he should start over Stott every day. Stott doesn't deserve to play. Why? Stott's career numbers and Sosa's career numbers are very similar. Sosa has a higher OPS than Stott does. Their batting averages and on-base percentages are almost identical. So why not? Have we seen enough of Sosa where we think, yeah, he should be an everyday player?
I'm not ready to draw that conclusion yet, but I definitely would ride the hot hand, and that means all the players on that roster, how many of them are actually going to play all 162? And I'm sure the answer is usually 0 or maybe 1 or 2, right? Castellanos did it last year, but he was the only one who played every game, right? So I think everybody's going to need their days off. So if Max Kepler is having his day off, you put Sosa in left. If it's time for Marsh to have a day off, maybe you use him in center, or maybe if you need that offense against a tough lefty like tonight, maybe you give him a shot. I don't know. Stott's going to need a day off. Bohm's going to need a day off. Even Turner's going to need a day off. There's so many positions you could play Sosa to give him that opportunity. Even if the Schwarber takes a day off, he usually doesn't take a day off, but and Bryce Harper gets the DH role for the day. You could put Bohm at first. You could play Sosa at third. So there's lots of different combinations here that if a player gets a day off, I would give that at bat to Sosa. Am I ready to give him any position? I would not at this time, but I would try to ride the hot hand and especially get him in there against lefties.
All right, Frank Close's mailbag is up on our website, 973ESPN.com. Every Tuesday, you can get your questions answered in the mailbag. And, of course, we do it right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. It's Sale and Wheeler tonight. Let me take one last look before Frank gets out of here to see if the Phillies put their lineup out yet. I do not see the lineup, so a little while longer with a little later game. They got a 7:15 start in Atlanta all week long. Phillies and Braves, and, of course, we got you covered here on the Sports Bash. All right, Frank, always a pleasure to see you, buddy.
Same here. Thank you, Mike.
All right, Frank Close, everybody, at Frank Close on Twitter, at Frank Close with a K on the X platform. All right, don't forget, on the X platform, you can watch the show right here on the X platform, and you can cast that over to your home TV. You can watch on your phone, your tablet, your wherever your streaming devices are right now, and check us out on the YouTube channel, at Mike Gill Show. Subscribe and get an alert when the show goes live. We got a lot happening with the Phillies, but I do want to congratulate the Sixers for losing again last night. They have pretty much – now, I asked them to go on a 15-game losing streak, and they are listening to me. They have lost 12 straight, and they have 3 games left, and that includes tomorrow night against the Wizards. That's a big one because the Wizards is probably one of the last 3 games are quote-unquote winnable, but every team other than tonight is in the playoff. The playoffs have already been established who's in. Now you're playing for seeding, but they play the Wizards tonight. But they have a 3-game cushion on Brooklyn for the 5th worst record. Now, if I told you at the beginning of the season the Sixers were not only going to miss the playoffs, they would have the 5th worst record in the entire NBA. I mean, I know there are some people out there that hate the Sixers so much that they would say, yeah, this team stinks. I told you so. But it would be lunacy. You would think that person needs to get their head examined. Yet here we are. So that person would be right, and we would be lunacy. That being said, what they have done is ineptly impressive. Think about this. They are ineptly impressive. To lose 12 straight games to get to the point. You know, one of the problems I had with the whole, hey, you're going to have to tank the rest of the season, you know, when we were looking back around, I don't know, January, was it's just not conceivable for them to be that bad to get the number 1 overall pick. Like, you would have to really suck-a-roni. And they do. They're horrible. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. I mean, this team is terrible right now. And I congratulate them for losing again last night. Great job by the Sixers. They've now lost 12 straight, and they have opened the gap. Can you imagine if you're Brooklyn? You've lost 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. And you're like, oh, my God. We lost 8 out of 10, and we've lost ground in getting a better draft choice. Right now, the race for the bottom includes Utah lost 9 straight. Washington's lost 2 in a row, 8 out of 10. Charlotte has lost 8 out of 10, 3 in a row. New Orleans has lost 7 out of 10, 3 in a row. But Philadelphia is the most inept. They have lost 12 straight. Kudos to the Sixers. Now, they can actually catch this Pelicans team. I mean, it's going to be a long shot. Philadelphia's got 3 games left tonight, Friday, and Sunday against the Bulls. That's it. They lose all 3 of those games. They're going to end the season with just under 60 losses, 23-59 if they lose the game. The Pelicans are 21-57. So you've got a 2.5 game gap between you and the Pelicans. And I can't imagine the Pelicans who play Brooklyn tonight. Now, that's a game where Brooklyn is like, you know, can you imagine being in that situation? You're a professional, and nobody wants you to win. I mean, how awful is that? But that's where we are. They play Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Miami, and Oklahoma City. That's what's left for the Pelicans. All right, I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. We'll go in draft style coming up next. Sarah Tell is on the way. Stick around. But first, ID caller 7 right now. Pick up the phone and dial 609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. Caller 7, you're entered for this year's Sports Bash Eagles Draft Party, where you could win a pair of tickets to see the Eagles play at Lincoln Financial Field. You can have an overnight stay at Ocean Casino Resort. You can win Ocean Casino Resort gift cards, tickets to an Ocean Casino Resort show. You must be present to win at our Eagles Draft Party at Ocean Casino Resort. Top Golf Swing Suite is where we'll be. Every qualifier gets free parking, so that's taken care of. And every hour, you have a chance to win great Ocean Casino Resort prizes, like that great overnight stay. But the grand prize, a pair of Eagles Club Box seats to a game this year at Lincoln Financial Field. Caller 7 right now. Good luck. We'll see you there. All right, congratulations, Matt Delhaven. You'll be at the draft party. You have a chance to win Eagles club box seats for a game this year at the Link, plus other great prizes. Every hour, you have a chance to win Ocean Casino Resort prizes like an overnight stay, ticket to a show, Ocean Casino Resort gift cards. We're going to be at Top Golf on the day of the draft, April 24th. I know this man is looking forward to the draft. Rick Saratella's back. Draft day is almost here. How many days? How many days we got till the draft? We got we're just over 3 weeks to the NFL draft. What's the official day count?
16 days, Mike Gill. 16 days.
I am ready. 16 days to the NFL draft, and of course, we'll be live at Ocean Casino Resort for that. Rick, let me get your thoughts on the workouts for Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Travis Hunter Sanders, they worked out since we last spoke, and how that has possibly changed or done anything in your mind for those two young men and this particular draft process.
Yeah, in this case, the Colorado Showcase, dare we say Pro Day, actually, I think threw a little monkey wrench into the equation because, if you go back to Andrew Berry's comments at the Combine, which you clearly pointed out on this program, that he likes Travis Hunter as a wide receiver. And if you watch the NFL Network, we were getting reports that Travis Hunter wasn't going to work out. He's going to lay on the film. But then something happened. The leadership of Shedeur Sanders occurred. And he urged Travis Hunter to come work out with his teammates. And he did so as an offensive player at wide receiver. And he did so pretty efficiently, Mike. He did it so well that he's now the favorite to become the number 2 pick in the NFL draft. And I think that Pro Day workout in Boulder kind of sealed the deal.
Yeah, you think about where the Browns are, and we've talked a little bit about this, but you go out and you saw Sanders throw, and Cam Ward is likely now going number 1. In fact, that looks like it's going to be set in stone. The Browns basically are saying, we don't like Sanders enough. We'll go with the best player available.
Or they're saying, you know what, let's try a different direction since we've selected 5 first-round quarterbacks since the turn of the century, and none of them have panned out in the last 25 years. Maybe we should try a different direction. And I do think a Kirk Cousins, or dare I say a Joe Flacco, is going to land in Cleveland. And listen, they've done their due diligence on those quote-unquote tier 2 quarterbacks. Should a Jackson Dart or a Jalen Milroe slide today too? Maybe they'll trade back up into the back end of round 1 to control that 5th-year option. But I wouldn't rule it out, the Browns drafting a quarterback. I just don't foresee it at the number 2 overall pick.
All right, so when we saw Sanders throw, did that change anything for you? I mean, is he still a guy that, finishes in, gets picked in that top 5? Last week we went through your top 10. Has he slid down? I know people putting out the mocks after that saying, I don't know that I like what I saw from Sanders enough to put him in that top 5. How about you?
Yeah, I think, with these pro days, Mike, like, if you like a quarterback going in, you're probably going to like him coming out. And if you don't like a quarterback going in, you're going to find reasons why. The ball velocity wasn't great. We didn't get the wow, amazing moment like we did with Cam Ward's pro day. So, I mean, you can nitpick all you want with these things. I thought it was a little bit different at the end with the 2-minute drill, and then I was waiting for the big play, and then they said, no, we're just going to spike it and take the field goal. It's a 2-minute drill. We're going to win the situation. Maybe I would have liked to seen a drop back there and go for the touchdown, but at the end of the day, I mean, listen, this guy's revitalized 2 programs. He started 4 years in college. I don't think a 40 or 50 throw window is really going to dictate his draft stock at this point.
All right. Last week we did your top 10. That's where we kind of left off. Let's take a look right outside that, San Francisco. This is a team that, they went to the Super Bowl and then bang, injuries. They've started to tear this team apart. So if you're San Francisco right now, Rick Saratella, NFL Draft Bible, let's start with them as they try to, get back in this NFC race. Which way do the Niners look?
Yeah, I think they got to start and get back inside the trenches, whether that's offense or defense. Maybe Mason Graham slides this far. If not, they go offense. Kelvin Banks out of Texas, an offensive tackle, will probably still be on the board. But I think the 49ers got to get back to the trenches, got to build from the inside out.
All right. Niners, a lot of questions there. Of course, they traded away Deebo Samuel. There was some talk about them possibly trying to move Brandon Ayuk. So could they have a big look? Then you got Dallas here. Got all sorts of injury issues for them last year. They need a receiver opposite CeeDee Lamb. They assigned 2 running backs there. They had some problems up front. So which direction do you see the Cowboys going in a very big draft? They did not do a lot in free agency.
Yeah, a lot of people think the Cowboys might take a running back. I'm hearing that they actually prefer Omarion Hampton over an Ashton Genty, so I don't think it's going to be a running back. But how about a wide receiver? And from the home state of Texas, I'm talking about Matthew Golden, the man of 4.29 40-yard dash fame, smooth route runner, big play receiver in the college football playoffs. You saw him make clutch receptions. Quinn Ewers, go-to target. How about you pair him with the CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott coming back off of that injury? Let's get him another weapon.
That would be a fun pick for the Cowboys there. Give themselves a big play guy opposite CeeDee Lamb. Let's go to the Dolphins at number 13. Their defense took a little bit of a hit. You got a lot of question marks up front on the offensive line. They have some good skill position players. Haven't been able to keep Tua protected, but do they need to get better on defense?
Well, yeah, they do need defense. They do need some protection for Tua. I like a Tyler Booker out of Alabama here. I don't think people have him going as high as I consider him to be, but Tyler Booker to me is the best guard in this draft. He's the best offensive lineman in this draft. So I could see them going Tyler Booker. If not, you mentioned defense, Mike. Mike McDaniels loves speed, and there's no defensive tackle faster than Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. You plug him on that defensive line, and they would take advantage of the quickness there.
I know a lot of Eagle fans are hoping Walter Nolan takes the dive down there, but it sounds like that's getting less and less possible.
Well, I think he's right now the number 2 defensive tackle in this draft class, which is a really loaded and very depthful, plenty of defensive tackles to go around. So I don't think he's going to last there in the latter part of the first round there, Mike.
Rick Saratella, NFL Draft Bible. We're going through picks 11 through 20 today. Let's look at the Colts here because this is a team that, quarterback's been an issue for them. They got Anthony Richardson. They brought in Daniel Jones. Do they need to give him a toy, though?
I do think so, Mike. And as much as, the wishful thinking, you would love to see Tyler Warren slide down to the Colts, it would be an ideal fit. They may have to settle for Colston Loveland, which is not a bad consolation prize out of Michigan. He gives me Heath Miller vibes. If you remember coming out of Virginia with the Pittsburgh Steelers, great pass catcher, can block, also played the entire season injured. When you talk about toughness, grit, I think Colston Loveland is one of the more underrated first-round prospects in this year's draft.
All right, I like that name. That one perked me up a little bit. I too, was thinking outside the box at tight end when I throw that question at you, for giving them a little toy. Because, guys like that, Anthony Richardson, even Daniel Jones, little guys more underneath. I know Richardson's got a hose, but, hey, give me the safe pass, Richardson. Don't try to do too much. We'll get you the old security blanket with the tight end. All right, Rick Saratella, let's go to Atlanta. There's a team in that South Division has a chance to compete. They got their new quarterback who they drafted last year, Michael Penix. We saw him last year a little bit. Do they need to get him a toy? I mean, they got Drake London. They've got Bijan. Is it time for them to look at the defensive side of the ball?
Well, if they want to go offense, I think Emeka Egbuka would make a lot of sense out of Ohio State. You got a polished route runner, somebody who could come in and be a dependable target. And really, I think this is a guy that can come in and go for 1,000 yards as a rookie, Emeka Egbuka. On the defensive side, they could go cornerback. Will Johnson out of Michigan, I think, is going to have his private pro day workout here this week. How about a Jahdae Barron out of Texas here as a potential cornerback pick for the Atlanta Falcons?
Okay, Atlanta, number 15. Let's go to 16, which, we got John Gannon's old crew. They stocked up on defense. Josh Sweat, among others. They brought in Calais Campbell, I think, last week at defensive tackle. So they went free agency. They also, Trey McBride, hey, how about a big contract for you, buddy? Yeah. How about a friend for him in that offense?
Well, you know what I'm thinking, Mike? You got these big, tall targets. You got McBride over the middle. You got Marvin Harrison Jr., is a tall target on the boundary. Let's add another tree trunk target in Tet McMillan out of Arizona. I think this guy is going to slide. Wouldn't he be ripe for the taking? And then Kyler Murray's just becomes a point guard. He's just playing alley-oop and throwing it up to these big power forwards.
All right, let's look at next up, number 17. This was an interesting team in the offseason. We still have the Trey Hendrickson thing going on with them. What happens there? That's a big question. Could happen on draft night. They did put out a lot of money at wide receiver, so you would think their offense is set, although they need some offensive line help, but their defense let them down last year, the Bengals.
Yeah, and we don't know if Trey Hendrickson's going to wind up back in a Bengal uniform, so how about we give him Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M with the inside-outside versatility for the Aggies there, right at around 270 pounds. He could bulk up and play the interior if needed. He can slide on the edge and rush the quarterback if needed. And so there you have a versatile chess piece for the Bengals to kind of move around.
All right, next up on the draft here is 18, Seattle. They've been interesting. You know, they brought in Cooper Kupp there. They lost their quarterback. Is there a quarterback looming in this spot that they might be interested in? Do they need some protection up front? They need some weapons. They lost DK Metcalf. Lockett's no longer there. So this team will be pretty interesting at number 18.
Yeah, no doubt. This is a team, and John Schneider is knowing for going outside the box and having these unorthodox selections. Now, I wouldn't rule out a quarterback, even though they signed Sam Darnold to big money. Remember, they signed Matthew Flynn to big money once upon a time in offseason a long time ago. So Jalen Milroe, you know, maybe wouldn't surprise me. You talk about wide receiver. We haven't mentioned Luther Burden out of Missouri, maybe a possibility. They're going to need somebody to catch the ball. So Seattle, maybe a little bit unorthodox in their approach.
All right, we talked about Atlanta. That's South wide open. Tampa Bay made the playoffs last year. They got a lot of weapons. Obviously, got Mike Evans getting a little older. Godwin's had some injury issues there. You know, they could possibly look to finally get a wide receiver there. Or you can go on the defensive side of the ball where their head coach has a background.
Yeah, you know, Todd Bowles likes defensive toys, and this is where, like, James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee might be a sweet landing spot for him if he's still on the board. How about a Jahad Campbell out of Alabama? You know, you kind of plug him in there. Might have to be a little bit more patient having that labrum surgery after the combine, but, man, you plug him into a Todd Bowles defense. I'd love to see what that looks like.
Yeah, that one, good name there by you. Rick Saratella, NFL Draft Bible, all access. It's our last pick of today's segment, number 20. The Denver Broncos came out of nowhere last year, made the playoffs based on they drafted a quarterback last year, Bo Nix. So, do they get Bo Nix a toy, or do they keep adding to the defense?
Well, I think that ideally they want to get him a weapon here, but I think the wide receivers, at least the first round consideration ones, could be off the board. So they got a quarterback on offense last year. Let's get him a quarterback on defense this year. And Malachi Starks out of Georgia. I like him as the top-rated safety. He can come in, be the quarterback of that defense, and give him another cornerstone player.
Yeah, there's a player that I think Eagle fans were hoping maybe made the slip all the way down to 32. The draft at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. It's Thursday, April 24th, and you can listen to every pick of the draft on 97.3 ESPN. The Eagles, of course, 32 in round one. We'll find out what Rick thinks the Eagles will do next week when he is back here. You can check out all his coverage at NFL Draft Bible, all access, the videos with Rick and Brian Baldinger, and so much more. Subscribe and check him out. He'll be back here next week right here on the Sports Bash. All right, Rick, see you, buddy.
Love you, Mike.
All right, there's Rick Saratella, everybody. And, of course, no beer this week for Rick. He didn't bring the beer to the table, to the show this week on the Sports Bash. Hey, Mike Gill with you here. Don't forget, we got chances for you to qualify for this year's draft party. It's our biggest draft party ever. We got the tickets to an Eagles game, club box seats, but so much more. Every hour, longest drive, we're going to be giving away prizes, Ocean Casino Resort overnight stays. I got the Phillies lineup here. It is very interesting. And I was off a little bit. I'll give it to you coming up next on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, this hour of the show brought to you by Broadleys Plumbing, Heating, Air Conditioning, your trusted source for generations. 609-390-3907, broadleys.net. All right, Phillies lineup. Here we go for the game tonight. I was close, Josh. In fact, I got the lineup pretty much right, except for one spot. And I was right about the configuration. It's just
Right.
who.
Yeah, you literally got the entire configuration right. It was just the who in
Here it
that
is.
8th spot.
Leading off at short is Turner, Harper, Bohm, Schwarber, Castellanos, Real Muto, Stott, but Stott is playing left field.
I mean, Sosa's playing left.
Excuse me, Sosa. Sosa is playing left field. Stott is at second base tonight. Rojas in center. So Marsh and Kepler are the two that are down tonight, and Sosa is in left field with Stott at second base. So they valued Stott more than Marsh and Kepler for the game tonight.
Now, Frank Close told you earlier, Mike, that Kepler's been hitting well against lefties this year. Does it surprise you not
Well, he
to
said
see
he's
Kepler in there?
he's better against lefties than he is righties.
So,
Yes. Well, I will say yes and no. I'm not surprised because I think they probably feel Rojas is the best center fielder, and we want a right-handed bat for Marsh. So instead of putting Sosa in center and having two lefties in the lineup, they took Kepler out and Marsh out and put Sosa in left field because they're not going to put Sosa in center field over Rojas. So Rojas goes to center, and they move him to left. Now, he has never started a game in left field ever.
right, he's come into a couple of games and played left field as a late inning replacement.
Yes, and those are probably like 1 inning or two. I mean, something to that effect. So that's your lineup tonight for the Phillies. It'll be Zack Wheeler and Chris Sale. Sale versus Wheeler, Phillies baseball on a Tuesday night. When we come back, it's football at 4, and the owners' meetings have come and gone, but the impact it might have on this season, including, are they thinking about making a change to the playoff format? By the way, quick Phillies news, Weston Wilson is beginning his rehab assignment tonight. He is in Clearwater with the Threshers, and he will play left field. And I would imagine if he progresses quickly, Wilson could be a right-handed bat that could also be an option in left field for him. Now, he had a strained oblique. He's been out over 6 weeks so far, so it might take him a little while longer to get his timing back. Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It's brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Adam Kaplan from the Inside the Birds podcast is here. Football at 4. We got some interesting developments from the rule changes at the owners' meeting last week in West Palm. Adam was there, and we talked a little bit about some of the stuff, but how these could affect this season moving forward and a potential change to the playoff seeding. We'll get to that one coming up. I know that one has created a lot of buzz in the last 48 hours or so. But Adam Kaplan's back with today's Football at 4, and we're going to have a little bit different look to the football season, it looks like, this year. Adam, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, good to talk to you, Mike. Yeah, and one thing for folks to I'm going to enlighten them a little bit here with the commissioner. Whenever Roger Goodell is passionate about something, let me tell you something, it's almost certain to happen. When he wanted a 17-game season, he got it, right? Because the owners wanted it. He basically parrots what the owners want. Okay, let's call it like it is. And he stayed out of the push play, and then he became vocal at the owners' meetings last week in Palm Beach. Now that's going to pass, whether it's in May or next March. It'll pass. That the rule that the push will be outlawed. Okay, that's going to happen. The playoff seeding, Mike, that surprised me. Clearly, the Lions are talking. We know the Lions are passionate about it. Well, listen, Jeff and I talk about this on our Money Show. We started this discussion, Mike, and we'll continue it here with you and develop a little bit more. I totally understand how clubs that are like 14-3, like a team like 7-10, should not be winning a division and having a home game over a team that's 14-3. That shouldn't happen. But you know what, Mike? That rarely happens. Do you remember when Seattle did? Seattle had a losing record, but I think they might have beaten New Orleans in the so-called Marshawn Quake when he had that great game in the playoffs. They had a losing record. They hosted a home game. Well, again, it rarely happens, Mike. You're not going to be able to win every argument, okay? It's like with Bill Belichick, who's now coaching at University of North Carolina as head coach. He wanted to be able to challenge any missed call. Well, that's not going to happen. You can't slow the game up like that. But I get it. Instant replay, we're going to talk about that. We had a big development in that, going forward, which we'll talk about. But, Mike, the playoff seeding, I totally get it. But, listen, it rarely happens. And I think you're just going to have to live with some of this stuff. Mike, I don't know about you, but I think we're overdoing this thing. But guess what? The commissioner spoke up on it, and that's not going to be good. This probably will pass at some point.
Yeah, that element of it, I've always agreed where – the division champion should get in football, the division still matters. I mean, in basketball, people don't know who's in the Atlantic, who's in the Central.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. In football, those key rivalries do matter. And, you don't play the same schedule. So you being 7-10 and him being 10-7 is kind of irrelevant because your schedule might be way different than the team that won. You know what I'm saying? So I do agree that if you win the division, that should be a goal that you set out, and it should get you that home game.
Yeah, in fact, I know there's some owners will never agree to a restructure of the proposal now because you just said it. If you win the division, that means something. No matter what your record is, you still achieve something. So the other thing is, now there's another thought around the league is that maybe what happens is, okay, you keep it the same, but then you reseed. Okay, then you reseed the teams in the second round. What's called the divisional round. The wild card round is the first round, then divisional round, then the championship round. Maybe you reseed them if a seventh round, if a seventh seed who is 14-3, and let's say, well, there's no way this is going to happen. There's no way a team 8-9 is going to get a bye. That's not going to happen. But let's say that team won the first week, and because they won the division, they would host that team that is 14-3 in the second round. Maybe that's when you receive them. You know what? Let's go with the team that's clearly better, the 14-3 team. That I'd be way in charge of and way pushing. But we'll see. This is going to, in the May meeting, by the way. The owners' meetings are, just so people know, in March. Always late March. Then in mid to late May. I've been to that one. It's usually very boring. Nothing usually gets done. And then they have one in late December. This has nothing to do with the regular season. It's usually other business. And then March again. So. If it gets tabled again, nothing will happen until next March.
All right, let's take a look at some of the things that did happen. The rule changes, the overtime rule here. This was a proposal by the Eagles here that they wanted to make this more aligned with what happens in the postseason.
Yeah, and Mike, this is the problem that I have with the NFL. It's not having a designated hitter and not having one in one other league. That's a little bit drastic, but I don't like that. You have different rules for different times. It should be the same and it's uniform. So now the proposal that the Eagles proposed, they were the first ones to propose it, but they had support in it. This one passed where the regular season overtime rules will be the same as the postseason in terms of both teams will get the ball. This is what happened. You might remember the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, great game some years ago, and what happened is because one of the teams scored first, the other team didn't get it, and we wanted to see. I can't remember who it was, whether it was Josh Allen getting the ball or Mahomes. They didn't get the ball second to see if they could tie in that. The league, that got a lot of outrage on Twitter. For people who aren't even fans of either team, or you love great football, the league, I'll say this much about I like Roger. I have nothing against him. I have my issues when I criticize him. Rogers also is big on what the fans want. He knows he's on social media, believe it or not. He sees this. He's aware of it. Owners are aware of it. You got to have things uniform. So it's going to be the same in terms of both teams will get the ball in overtime in the regular season.
All right, that was the Eagles who put that one out there. That's one of the rule change. The kickoff, I mean, the touchback and the dynamic kickoff. I'm really interested. We talked a lot about this last week because last year they tried it at the 30, and teams said that doesn't deter us from touchback. So now they're going to move it to the 35. Will that deter teams from the touchback?
Well, it's interesting. So I talked to a veteran special teams coach who told me at the Combine that this was going to pass. He said that on what you said, this will help more returns potentially. And the thing is, Mike, they just don't want the touchbacks. These kickers are too strong. You know, they're just way too strong. And they know that, listen, the good thing is, look, if you're going to have bigger plays, so this plays into the second point here. So the dynamic kickoff, which was very odd, it looked different. It's from the UFL and USFL. Not only is that going to increase, I got to give the NFL credit. They said there would be a huge increase in kickoff returns. Well, there were 332 more kickoff returns last season than there were in 2023. And that's up. The rate went from 21.8 to 32.8. That's a big jump. They do think, Mike, that at some point over 50% of kicks will happen. I don't know when that's going to happen. They claim that. I've been at the media meeting with the special teams coaches, and this is a big one, Mike. 59 plays of 40 yards or more happened last season, Mike. You know why? Because don't forget, the kickoff team cannot get the running start anymore. Not only does it reduce concussions, they can't get that running start anymore. Though they're closer, by the way, the dynamic kickoff, they still cannot get the running start. It's got to reach the landing zone, which is what they call it. And that's the most returns of 40 yards or more since 2016.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see if teams, just say, yeah, you know what, we'll give you the ball at the 35. We don't care. Because last year it didn't seem like I thought when you put the ball at the 30-yard line, teams would be like, that's 30 yard. But 35, I thought maybe if you put it at the 40, that might deter teams. But we'll see. We'll see if the touchbacks go down. I guess they're hoping for that. You mentioned Bill Belichick wants to replay everything, but we will see more replay.
Oh, yeah. Well, Mike, listen, I'm a big replay opponent, but I don't want it to delay. So, this replay assist that came in over the last couple of years, particularly in the playoffs, well, not only is it going to stay, this will not go away because it's been almost seamless. They're now going to include calls that are considered objective. Let's say, with a face mask, it's usually pretty obvious. Forcible head contact with the neck area or head, horse collar tackles. So what happened is you could only overrule it if they made a mistake. Let's say, because what the hardest one to do is horse collar. Remember, it's real time. Sometimes they grab the jersey, they don't grab inside the jersey into the shoulder pad. Sometimes they're just flat out wrong. They're going to correct that mistake. So that's implemented. I love replay assist. I don't know who came up with it. Next time I see Troy Vincent or John Runyon, I'm going to ask. Buy that guy a beer. That's a great idea, replay assist.
Yes, there's a lot of egregious, misses sometimes. You're like, how do they not see that? Well, now they will see that there. All right. I bought a ticket for a Thursday for a game on a Sunday, and it got moved to Thursday. It looks like that could be a problem for some fans.
Yeah, so what's going to happen but it's going to be better, though. So Thursday Night Football on Amazon, which I love, on Amazon Prime, The deadline for flexing, it's going to go from 4 weeks to 3 weeks. So that goes on your point. That gives you shorter time to plan and cancel your trip and everything. But they're doing this because they think this will improve the quality of play in those games. So we'll see if they're convinced that this is going to work. And I got to tell you, Amazon Prime, I mentioned this on our show Monday, Mike, and I want to mention to your listeners here on 973 South Jersey. I wish the networks would take what Amazon does with Amazon Prime in terms of the all 22 views. I don't know if you ever see that on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
I don't understand. It's absolutely worth paying for. I don't know why the leagues, the networks won't invest in it. It's such better viewing. You get to see the whole field with all 22. I'm a huge fan of it. I love putting it on my laptop. See, sometimes I watch on my laptop or sometimes I watch on my phone. But I love watching Amazon Prime on my laptop for those all 22 views. I wish they would do this. It probably will never happen in our lifetime, but I guess we're just stuck with Amazon doing it.
Well, Amazon Prime now, you can get Flex on a shorter window. It used to be 28 days. Now it's 21 days as Amazon and the streamers gain more and more power in the NFL. You got 2 Netflix games on Christmas Day, 1 Amazon game on Christmas Day. You're not getting the chain gang anymore. It looks like the technology is up to par now. They're ready to go, and the chain gang, no more.
Oh, by the way, Mike, just one thing to add. It's now 3 Christmas games and not 2 anymore, which is crazy.
Yeah, 2 Netflix, 1 Amazon.
Right. I cannot believe that. Whether the NBA, I heard you and Josh talking about it. It's crazy that happened. But no more chain gangs, thank God. I got to tell you, this has been in my crawl. I've covered this business now 27 years. The richest sports league by far in our country. How in the world do they not get this done earlier? How could you? And no offense to the chain gang, a lot of those guys are older. So now they're going to use Sony's Hawkeye. It's all going to be video. They're not going to get it wrong anymore. Do you remember when Gene Steratore took the
index card,
which is a joke? You can't. By the way, he's really good on television on CBS, but we're not going to have to deal with that crap anymore. I cannot tell you. I was like, why didn't this pass decades ago? This is embarrassing for the league to wait this long, but thank goodness they did it. Now, the chain gang will be there as a backup if the video didn't work, but I can't imagine that they're going to – Sony's doing this with their technology, so I'm assuming it's going to work.
All right. What is going on with the free agent period that the Steelers passed?
This is phenomenal, Mike. Now, I got to tell you, I'm curious to see – the Steelers proposed it. Andy Weidel, the assistant general manager, used to work for the Eagles, and Omar Khan are chief among this. So basically what it is you know how like on the legal tampering period, which everybody seems to call it, the league doesn't call it that, those 48 hours, Mike, on Monday and Tuesday when it starts on Wednesday?
Yep.
Well, only the agent could talk to the clubs now. Clubs now can have one video or phone call. The video obviously won't be Skype anymore. It'll be Zoom or Teams. Skype is going away next month, or Microsoft Teams, but with up to 5 potential unrestricted free agents. So they actually could talk to the players directly, Mike, in the legal negotiating period, not even when free agency starts, officially when the doors open, Mike. And obviously they could agree to terms, and they could book travel once they've agreed to terms, before you'd have to sign the contract to travel. This is great, Mike. I'll tell you why. If you've got a Mike Tomlin who's very convincing, if you've got a Nick Sirianni who's very convincing, that matters to me. That absolutely matters to me. If him and Howie could, and Howie's the king of free agency, if they could tag team together, why not? And by the way, I'll check on this. I don't believe there's any language that owners can't get involved. So what if Jeffrey Lurie got involved?
Yeah,
I hadn't thought of that until you just brought this up. I don't know. Some owner, look. What if Jerry Jones got involved? He's crazy. You never know what he's going to say. I think this is pretty good, Mike. I got to give the league credit. When I first covered the league with Mosher, early 2000s, they were so backwards and not forward-thinking. And I got to tell you, Howie's part of this, the forward-thinking stuff. He is, and the Eagles, they propose a lot of rules. Most of them don't get passed, but there's no more forward-thinking franchise than the Eagles, and I got to give them credit for all the work that they've done over the years.
Last one, we could see more Kelly Green this year.
Yeah, and Mike, I know the league used to have a certain amount of years you had to ask to wear these uniforms, the alternate or throwbacks. But now it was 3 last year, Mike. It's now going to be 4 alternates per season. And I love, like, the Panthers. I don't know if you've seen the Panthers uniforms. I love their colors, the black and blue. But the Eagles, obviously, the Kelly green, and maybe we'll see the black, which I love, whatever. But I think that's great. So, I'm glad we actually covered some more stuff today than we did on our Monday show, so I'm glad we were able to do this. But kudos to the league for being more forward-thinking, because I've been long criticizing we're too old-fashioned, and they're certainly willing to do more. I like that.
All right, Adam Kaplan, there you go. Some updated rule changes that will be happening. By the way, Eagles will be out on the field April 21st, and the draft April 24th. We'll have more on Football at 4. Thanks, Adam.
Hey, by the way, Mike, for decades, you could not have a OTA practice before the draft, and that's actually new in the last 10 years. And you know why? Because if the club could see if a guy shows out of shape. That does matter sometimes, believe it or not. I mean, it's rare, but it does happen. But no, it used to be after the draft. Now you could have some practice before the draft.
April 21st, they'll be back. All right, we'll talk to you, pal.
Thanks.
All right, there's Adam Kaplan, everybody here. Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. So, of those rule changes, the replay assist one is interesting, because now you get these penalties that you're like, how'd they miss this? Now they're going to have somebody that's going to say, hey, you missed that. Like, we're watching it from up here. We can see that you missed it. That should be a big help, right? That should be one that definitely helps out with all of the mistakes that are made, and big mistakes, right? You get big-time mistakes sometimes with stuff like that. And the replay assists, he talked about face mask, the horse collar. I don't know what the extent of, like, are they allowed to look back at, like, a bad, like, late hit, something to that effect? I don't know. I don't know how far the extent is on that.
Well, we know the Rules Committee, when they meet again next month, are supposed to clarify some of those rules. So hopefully, instead of spending all their time worrying about the tush-push, they could actually get them answers to questions that you have, Mike.
Maybe. I don't know that they think my questions are all that pressing, but
I would disagree with them then.
Well, I would like to see if I can say, hey, you called a late hit on the quarterback, but it really wasn't all that late, stuff like that.
Well, these are important questions because, remember, these have to do with the flow of the game. These have to do with how the game plays out. Whether you're a fan in the stands or watching the game at home, you don't want to be sitting there like you are with baseball games sometimes and be like, what's going on? Nobody knows. The fans deserve to know when there's a stoppage in play. Like that, the whole situation on Sunday, for those who don't remember, it was driving everybody nuts where I was at, because why was the baseball game stopped? Well, you find out later they needed a new rosin bag. And it's like the fans in the stadium, they're murmuring. People are watching on TV. They're looking around like, what's going on? Everybody's jumping on their social medias like, what is going on? Why is this Phillies game not going? So the NFL, they got to do better. They got to tell the fans, listen, this is what we're doing to keep the game flowing, and this is why the game might stop.
That's essentially what Adam was saying, is that you just got to be better with the flow of the game, too. The free agent period thing, the Steelers passed a proposal surrounding free agency and the negotiating period with some modifications. It's a 1-year trial run here. Teams can now have one video or phone call with up to 5 potential unrestricted free agents and can book travel upon agreeing to terms. Before, you could only communicate with agents. So this is one of those things where, as he tried to mention, if you have somebody who's a really good salesman, where I'm not talking to the agent now, I'm talking to you.
Right.
And you can come talk to me. You can do that up to 5 potential unrestricted free agents. Will that change the course of free agency? We shall see. I mean, that the agents are the ones that took the calls in that, like, legal tampering period before? I don't know.
I mean, it may change the conversation because, and I'm not saying Jerry Jones is right, but I will credit him with this point. He made the point recently about the Micah Parsons negotiations, where he claimed that a lot more gets done when he talks to the player than when he talks to an agent.
Yeah. Well,
now, I don't know if that's true for every team or if it's even true for Jerry, but there may be scenarios where, hey, if Howie Roseman has a conversation with a player he drafted versus some agent who's trying to scrape the last few million off the top, and Howie turns to the player and he's like, look, man, we're going to take care of you. You know we take care of guys. I know the agent's trying to maximize every dollar for you as he should, but if you let me do my job, I'll take care of you. Maybe that'll go over with certain guys.
609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. The Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We gave you the Phillies lineup. It's Sosa. He is making the start in left field tonight. His first ever start in the outfield. He is playing left field tonight. He is hitting in the number 7 spot. Stott is at second base. Marsh is out. Rojas is in. Kepler is out. Sosa is in. And that is a look at the Phillies lineup. It is Mike Gill. It is the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. So Weston Wilson, by the way, is also making a rehab assignment tonight with the Clearwater Threshers. Now, I would imagine he's going to need at least a week or so. I mean, look, he was the 26th man on the roster. You're not going to rush him back, but he would provide a right-handed bat. You wonder, could he play left field and Sosa play center? That's not a great defensive outfield.
I certainly would not go with that, but, maybe in a game like today, right? Instead of having Stott at second, maybe Sosa plays second, Rojas is in center, and Wilson is in left.
Is in left, yeah. Good question from Glenn and Absecon. Guys, will replay assist be able to call roughing the passer on a play like Jalen Carter in the Super Bowl? Yeah, that's the one that I'm talking about. Like, you call that and you say, that one I probably
maybe
just threw the flag, and because I'm so used to throwing the flag, safe than sorry. Right?
Right. I'm so used to throwing it.
Guys, wouldn't it make more sense if you get the touchback to give it to them at the 20? There's better chance to run it past the 20, encouraging teams to run it out. That's not a bad idea.
Well, that's what it was originally.
Yeah, but he's saying, see, we're talking about to deter teams. See, what Adam said is they don't want touchbacks. Right. They want teams to try to return the ball, but the teams are just kicking it into the end zone.
Right.
So he's saying that the penalty should be on the returning team. If you don't try to return it, you have the ball at the 20.
Okay.
So now all the kicks are going in the end zone. But if you don't try to take it out of the end zone, the penalty is you're stuck with the ball at the 20, so that you're trying to get it out past the 20.
Right.
I like that idea.
It's interesting because now what you're doing is you're not just telling the kickoff team not to kick into the end zone. You're also telling the receiving team don't kneel it in the end zone either.
Well, I think it's a fait accompli that the kicking team's going to kick it into the end zone, is his point. Like Adam said, the kickers are so good now that they're just kicking it into the end zone, and it's a touchback, which goes to the 30,
right,
or now the 35. He's saying the kickers are so good, don't penalize them. They're kicking it into the end zone. The penalty should be if you don't try to take it out of the end zone to get past the 20. If you kneel it, you only get the ball at the 20.
Well, that's why I like the comment that you made. And I don't remember what day it was exactly, but you made the comment before, Mike, where you said, why don't they just push the kicker back instead of, moving up where the touchback is? Instead of having the kicker kick off from, the 30-yard line, have him kick off from the 15-yard line.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways, but that guy a little outside the box. I'll give him 2 points for that. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Don't forget live video streaming on the X platform and on YouTube at Mike Gill Show. You can watch the show live each day. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll get the alert when we go live on your phone, tablet, laptop, iPad, telephone. Telephone's probably not a word that we use anymore.
I think only people over 30 know what a telephone is.
What were we talking about the other day? Oh, it was earlier this morning. I was asking, Earnshaw was in on the text, too, if he knows what Prism was.
Oh, I remember Prism.
Where the Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers used to play on Prism, the sports cable channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how that came up, but
the precursor to Comcast
Sportsnet. Speaking of Nuggets, he's up next here on the Sports Bash. But right now, I need caller 7, 609 573 3776. 609 573 3776. Caller number 7 right now. This is your chance to win a pair of Eagles Club Box tickets for a game at Lincoln Financial Field. The Sports Bash Eagles Draft Party this year is at Top Golf at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. You must be present to win the pair of tickets to see the Eagles play. The earlier you get there, the longer you hang, the more prizes you can win, like an overnight stay at Ocean Casino Resort, Ocean Casino Resort gift cards, tickets to Ocean Casino Resort shows this summer. They got a great lineup. 609 573 3776. Caller 7 right now. Good luck. All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Dylan in Galloway. Congratulations, Dylan. You are a qualifier. And, Dylan, guess what? You have a chance to go to an Eagles game this year at the Link, our Eagles draft party, which will be sans Nick Earnshaw. The Nuggets will not be live in attendance this year at the draft party. You were at the draft party last year, and you said didn't have a good enough time, so he will not be back this year. And that's unfortunate there, Nuggets.
You know, I'm so upset. I'm so upset I'm not going to be there. I'm very bummed about it. I have a lot going on that day, unfortunately. But I will be chiming in during the show. I will be joining virtually. That is an awesome event. So if you are out there, you're attend it because it's so much fun. It's a great time. I am bummed I can't be there this year. I had other things I had to take care of that day, unfortunately. But man, enjoy it. Absolutely enjoy it.
Yep. Well, we're going to have a big party, and Dylan and Galloway will be a part of it, and so are many others out there. We got more prizes this year. Top Golf will be there. The sooner you get out there, the more prizes you can win. So, by the way, all the qualifiers get free parking for the day. So if you are a qualifier, you get free parking to come out and watch the show, and then you get a chance to win some great prizes. So how about all that?
You can't beat that. And the view is just phenomenal. You can play a little golf, and then you can look outside. They got the great view, great food. It's a great time. Definitely enjoy it. Dylan and Galloway. That's going to be a lot of fun. Mike, I got to address something a little bit here. I know what Prism is, okay? This is something you and I were talking about
earlier. No, I didn't
today.
say you didn't. We were talking about whether you did or not.
Yes, I did know what it was. It was before I was born. It folded and it became Comcast Sportsnet. I grew up with Comcast Sportsnet. But I have another little bone to pick as well. I got to pick one with Josh. So Josh, we're playing a little phone tag. He called. I called him. He called me. We were. It was bad timing by both of us. But he left a voicemail. And in that voicemail, Mike, he said, I know people your age don't leave voicemails anymore. So I will say this. He's right. I listen to the voicemails. I don't leave the voicemails. That's how it goes nowadays. I'll listen to them. I don't leave the voicemails. I'll shoot a follow-up text if I don't get an answer to the phone call.
So what exactly is the beef then? I was right.
No. I listen to it, right? I listen to the voicemail. But I do not leave them. I do not leave them. That's the thing. So I might have got that misconstrued.
And did I not say I know people your age don't leave voicemails?
Yes, correct. You did say
clear.
That.
So
you did say that.
So what is the beef?
I think you I think you might have said don't listen to the voicemail. I'm gonna have to confirm that because I think you said don't listen. I listen to the voicemail. I just don't leave it.
So do you confirm or deny that people your age do not leave or listen to voicemails?
Oh, I confirm it. But I was just saying,
but you're saying you're the exception.
About the age thing. A little attack. It was a little shot. It was a little shot there by Josh. Little shot.
Yeah. It's funny because I have voicemails and it's like they're piled up in my voicemail thing and like I don't delete them. I can't even imagine what happens if somebody calls and goes because like you know how many robocalls you get and you just let it go and then you get the 30-second this is Steve. I have a deal for you.
Yeah, they're fraudulent. They're totally fraudulent. Now this one, it was a good voicemail, Josh. I will say it was a solid voicemail. You got to your point. I'm sending a text. I'll send the follow-up text after I get the missed call. No one picked up. I'll send a follow-up text. Hey, call me back. No need to talk after that. There's no need. I think the voicemail.
That's a Billy Schwein. Schwein will call you, and if you don't answer, he texts, call me.
No. Schwein calls, leaves an 8-minute voicemail, and then sends 4 text messages.
Right. It's never just one from the Schweiner. It's multiple texts. Because if you don't see the first one, he'll send it again, and then another one.
Yeah.
It's like DJ Khaled, and another one.
And another one, and another one, and another one. All right, and we got another nugget that we got to get to today. Nugget number 1. I mean, how can I not start with Edmundo Sosa playing left field? Now, I didn't get the question off when I went to the game Friday. They wrapped that presser up pretty quickly, unfortunately. But Edmundo's in left, so they're trying it out again, Mike. Your question is answered. They're going to try him out in left field tonight. Listen, Kepler, I mean, since his 3-hit game against the Rockies in last week, I mean, 1 for 17. Guy has not been playing good baseball as of late. And Mundo batting .550, he's been really good. You're trying to find a way to get him in the lineup without taking a Bohm out or a Stott out. You're not going to take Trey Turner out, I know, but you're going to get him in the lineup some way, somehow. Left field's a good spot. Listen, play the hot hand while he's hot right now. You and I have talked about it. And Mundo is more so of a bench guy, utility role player. Now, if he could turn into more than that and he's a surprise, that's great for the Phillies. It's a fantastic development. I don't think he's going to be that type of hitter all year. Obviously, he's not going to bat .550, but I don't know if he's going to be that consistent hitter all year. But maybe it could be a nice development. I like to see him trying out in left field. Now, he's had 5 appearances in the outfield during his career, Mike. Never started a game in the outfield. This is his first start of his career in left, in the outfield. I mean, it's worth a shot, right? I mean, the guy's hitting the baseball. He's got a lot of energy. Perfect. I mean, why not?
I don't have a problem with it. I said this before. The Phillies have started Rhys Hoskins in the outfield. I mean, you can't tell me that Edmundo Sosa would be worse than Rhys Hoskins playing left field. They've played Pat Burrell, Pete Incaviglia, Ron Gant. I mean, they've played some terrible left fielders. Edmundo Sosa has got to be more competent and capable than all of those guys. I thought tonight was interesting. I probably would have played him at second with Rojas in center and Kepler in left so that I have maybe a better defense for Wheeler behind him, but I don't have a problem with this. And, hey, jump into the deep end of the pool here. Now, it comes on a day where Weston Wilson is beginning his rehab assignment today, so you could have Wilson back. So it could have been if Wilson's up here, let's say 2 weeks from now, Wilson's up here, and they're facing a lefty, you could play Wilson in left, Sosa at second, and Rojas in center. Now you have all 3 lefties out of the game for you. So that could be what's on the horizon here. But somebody did ask Rob Thompson, hey, would you hesitate to start Sosa in the outfield? And he said, I would not. So he was pretty frank about the fact that he would put him in the outfield. Well, that was on Sunday. They were off on Monday. And on Tuesday, he's in the outfield.
He's in the outfield. And listen, it's worth a shot, right? I mean, the guy's been hitting the baseball great to start the year. I'm all for it. The guy gives you energy. He's been really good. I'm for it. Kepler, I mean, he really hasn't given you that much. I mean, let's be real. He hasn't given you that much so far to start the season. Try Edmundo out there because you never know. He could be a development during this season that could be huge for him. So I like starting Edmundo in the outfield. Give him a shot. I know he's been more of an infielder throughout his career, but I mean, left field, you played Schwarber out there. You played Hoskins out there before. Throw Edmundo out there. He's athletic enough. Put him in left.
Yeah, I have no worry that he'll be able to handle playing left field. He is an athletic shortstop. He's played second. He's played third. He can go play left field. He can catch a fly ball. Is he going to catch a screamer that's kind of bending away from him? Maybe not initially, but I have no doubt that Edmundo Sosa can go play left field.
Yep, I agree. But here's something that was interesting that you guys brought up earlier, and it was with Frank during his mailbag. Mike, Justin Crawford's a better prospect than Johan Rojas was. I think you got to bring him up this year. I think that could solve so many problems. I think if he's ready, he's batting .286 right now in AAA. If he has a couple of good months, why not try him? I mean, Rojas wasn't as good of a prospect as Crawford. I think you can bring Crawford up. And Middleton said it on the Philly show that they think he's ready after, a couple of months. If he has a good couple months down in AAA against AAA pitching, they'll bring him up. Remember, Rojas was in AA, and he skipped AAA to bring him up. I don't see why you wouldn't bring him up at this point because I'm giving up on Brandon Marsh, and that moves me in to nugget number 2. Let me talk about
that real quick because I agree with you. That's a good point. Crawford's a better prospect than Rojas is. It's probably more ready to play at this level than Rojas is. And I'm no Rojas hater. I think Rojas has a role. It's just not a big role. He's a defensive replacement. He's speed. He's the 26 man.
Yeah.
He's the backup. Now, the problem is you bring Crawford in. Now Rojas has no role because he's not going to go play defense in center field for Crawford. So at that point, now you got to wonder what Rojas, because he's not going to hit for anybody, right? You're not going to run him for Crawford because Crawford runs like the wind. So you're not going to put him in center field for Crawford. So I don't know what Rojas's role becomes. Now you have a situation where Crawford's also left-handed, so Marsh essentially has no role either. You would have to get rid of Marsh as well.
Yeah, and I'm out. I'm out on Marsh because Crawford's sitting in the wings right there. That solves so many problems.
Well,
the guy
the
can
problem,
hit, he can run. Try it. Why not? Because you're
the
playing
problem
this
with
game
that
in the
is-
outfield right now.
The problem is you're saying, try it, why not? Well, if he falls flat on his face and hits 090 and he's overmatched, now you have a problem. So you can't just pull the plug on the whole thing. You're putting a lot of pressure on that kid to come up here and listen, I'm with you. I want to see him and think that he's a better option than what I have currently. But in the event that he struggles and he's not, you have to have a fallback plan.
Someone's going to have to sit on the bench. I'm sorry. That's just how it goes sometimes. I don't want to, you're going to hurt some feelings. Oh, well, at this point.
It's not about feelings hurt, and I agree with you. There is some like, hey, we got to make a big decision here. This is what we're doing. My point is, if you're bringing Crawford up here, Rojas has no role anymore. He's essentially useless. You're not going to keep Brandon. You're going to keep Brandon Marsh as another left-handed bat off the bench. I mean, now your bench is. You would almost have to get rid of.
Well, maybe
Marsh.
you move one of them. Maybe that's when you make a move to go get another reliever. You trade one of them to maybe add another arm into the bullpen. You could do that because now you have Crawford up here, and then one of them is expendable at that point. Crawford's coming up at some point, no matter what. You're going to have to make that decision soon, and it might be sooner rather than later. I'm cool with it because he's more potential than Rojas did. He's a good defender in center field. He can run, he can hit, and he's a top prospect. You drafted him high for a reason, right? So he's going to play. He's had a really good career down in the minor leagues so far. He's batting .286 to start the year. It's only been 8 games. In a month or two, I think about it. I know the Phillies are winning right now, but you could solve a lot of problems by playing this game in the outfield. You might have a starter sitting right there, and he's a better prospect than Rojas was, and he's a better bat than Rojas ever was.
Well, the problem with him, much like everybody else, he hits left-handed. So now you just have the same problem where if he struggles against lefties, what do? Do you platoon him? Does he hit against lefties? I mean, it doesn't solve everything. It's like a game of what's behind door number 2 here. Like, yes, I like what's potentially behind there, but he is left-handed, and that's something that has to be considered. Is you're not going to just say, hey, he's a left-handed guy, and he's going to come up here and just rake against lefties. You might have a similar situation where we're 2 left-handed still. It doesn't solve that right-handed bat in the middle of the lineup problem.
Well,
it gives you maybe more potential from the center field spot, but if he struggles, now you're back to square one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth a shot to take on Crawford at this point. He's hit really well. He's hit over 300 throughout his career in the minors so far. I take a flyer on it, and he's a top prospect for a reason. So I would go with the Crawford thing maybe in a month, 2 months, especially if Kepler can't figure it out, if Marsh can't figure it out, if Rojas can't figure it out. I mean, Rojas got a bunt down the other day, so that was good. It took him 3 years to get a bunt down, which is fantastic. But I think Crawford, you're not going to have to need him to bunt all the time. So we'll see how that shakes out. That's going to be a story we're definitely got to keep an eye on.
And Marsh couldn't get the bunt down the other day.
No, I don't know what you do with Brandon Marsh right now. I know it's so early. I get it, but I'm starting to say, all right, let's get the kid up here and let's go.
It's not that it's early. It's big picture is I've seen Marsh for 3 years now,
True.
and here we are early in the season, and I haven't seen much change from the guy that I've seen for 3 years. So I think it is fair to say, look, we have to start making the evaluation. Big picture here. Is Brandon Marsh a part of this, or is it time? We talked about it. I said they'll give him to the trade deadline. Dombrowski will watch the team and then make the decision. Have you changed? Have you gotten any better? Have you improved? And if the answer to that is no for some of these guys, he then has to do something to shake it up by the deadline.
Yep. Yeah. Listen, you may have a couple of guys to go get a bullpen arm, and that's where I want to move along to, okay, at that deadline. And I want to talk about your question of the day, your poll question on the X platform, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. You're up 1 in the bottom of the 9th, Mike. Who do you want on the mound for the Phillies? And the lead guy right now is Jose Alvarado, and I am with the 53%ers right now. Jose Alvarado would be the guy in the 9th for me at this moment, Mike. I'm going Alvarado. He's looked really good. Velo's there. He's commanded well. I'm going Alvarado. I think this is a bounce-back year for him, and he's looked good so far to start the season. I think Alvarado is the choice at this moment in time.
Can't disagree with that. I mean, I like Kirkering for whatever reason. They have Kirkering more in like, hey, you got to clean up the mess of everybody else's role.
Yeah.
So it seems that they value him in that spot. By the way, Alvarado shot up because he was dropped under 50. He's now up to 53. Strom's at 29, which I'm a little surprised that he's that much over Kirkering. But I do think this is a concern because Alvarado, to me, I don't know that he is when he is good, he could be a lockdown closer.
Yep.
But I mean, you're hoping that he just has this consistency. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, out of that crew, the Kirkering thing's interesting. And you and I talked about it yesterday on Nuggets. Like, he's just always fixing everyone else's problems. He's always fixing everyone else's problems at this point. So I would like to see him be the closer. I don't know if he's there. Like, they're using him in that role. I'd like to see him in the ninth, but I think right now I'm going Alvarado. Just at this moment in time on April 8th, Alvarado's my guy in the ninth just because I trust him more. Romano, I don't trust at all. The velocity's down. I don't know what's going on there. That's been a disaster to start the season. Strom, I like him in high leverage situations, not necessarily the ninth. Alvarado, at this point, I'm just going with him. I trust him more.
Right now, I agree. Out of the options of that I have there, I trust him the most. By the way, let's address Henny right here. It says Epic Showdown, which is the title of our YouTube show today. The Braves are 1-8. It's the showdown between the guy who won the Cy Young versus the guy who finished number 2. Yes, the Braves aren't that good, but it's the pitching matchup that we're talking about here. You got Sale versus Wheeler, 1 and 2 in the Cy Young last year.
Yeah, it is an epic showdown. I mean, it's a perfect title for today, Mike. I mean, who doesn't want to see Wheeler versus Sale? I'm locked into that tonight.
If you're talking about the Braves at 1-8, I understand that.
Yeah, I get
but
that.
It's the pitching matchup that
By the way,
has everybody jacked
this
up.
is a pitching matchup where the flats are needed in front of the television. I mean, this is that type of pitching matchup. I'm going to get the flats tonight. That's no doubt about it.
Flats is more for a 1-8 team. You're right about that.
No, it's for the pitching, the epic showdown you're talking about, not the 1-8 team. Come on.
40 kids watching on YouTube says, I love all the right-handed batters in the lineup tonight versus Sale. Kepler can pinch hit late in the game. Yeah, I mean, you got Kepler and you got Marsh late hit. I mean, Marsh is, if they have a right-handed pitcher late in the game, I don't mind Marsh coming in and get a swing.
That's fine. Yeah, it's great. Kepler, too. Fine, sure. Come off the bench. I'm just bring up
realistically,
Crawford.
if there's a right-handed pitcher in the 8th with 2 on, you're not going to let Rojas hit.
No. Just bring up Crawford. I'm done with it. You know what? By the end of this Nuggets, I have convinced myself, bring him up now. Just bring him up now at this point.
That's not going to happen, but we'll see as this season progresses. And I said on opening day, I think if Trey Turner was hurt for a long period of time or maybe a season-ending injury, I think Aiden Miller would be your shortstop over Sosa.
I agree with that too. I agree with that. They're right there. Those guys are right there, and they have a lot of faith in them. So I think Crawford will be before Miller.
All right, that's today's Nuggets, and it's brought to you by the Hub gear that works as hard as you do. The Hub is located with 2 locations, Summers Point and in Mays Landing. That's Nick Earnshaw. He'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Nick's Nuggets here on the Sports Bash. Thanks, Nick.
All right, see you guys tomorrow.
All right, there he goes. Nick's Nuggets back tomorrow. And don't forget to check out his podcast, The Shift. And you can listen to him weekends in the locker room right here on 97.3 ESPN. It's all good, Henny. It's all good. You said my bad watching on the YouTube channel. Yeah, I mean, Wheeler and Sale, that's the showdown tonight. You got the top 2 pitchers from last year's Cy Young Award. Now, Sale's 0-1 this year. He has not got off to a great start. But, hey, the poll question's up at 973 ESPN on the X platform. You can vote which guy do you have the most trust in. And right now, first 3 text messages. Text the word draft, your name, and where you're from. 609-403-0973. Text the word draft, your name, and where you're from. First 3 people that get in, you are entered for this year's draft party at Topgolf at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. All of our qualifiers have a chance to win a pair of Eagles Club Box tickets, an overnight stay at Ocean Casino Resort, and other great Ocean Casino Resort prizes. Parking is free for the day for all qualifiers. First 3 people in right now. Good luck. 5 o'clock, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Final hour of the show, going to be a good one. We'll have a lot of fun this hour, of course, getting ready for Phils and Braves tonight. Braves 1-8, so lost a little luster with that, but still, NL East foes, top two pitchers in the Cy Young balloting last year. Sale was the winner. Wheeler was the runner-up. They face off tonight at Truist Park in Atlanta. We'll dive into that and more. Sixers, by the way, bravo. 12 straight losses. Got to give it to them. Got to hand it to you. National champions, the Gators. They beat Houston last night. Josh finished in third in our NCAA pool. 90 people were in the pool this year, and Josh finished in third place overall. Got him a couple bucks there, Rothstein.
Wow. If Josh finishes in third, that's one heck of a pool you got there, man.
Yeah, 90 people in the pool. Last year, the defending champ was?
I do not. No.
Billy Schweim won last year.
The Schweimer.
Yes,
Schweimer,
he
the
did.
champ. The Josh getting bronze. Oh, my goodness.
Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff is happening here. But, yeah, the national championship last night. Phillies tonight. Sixers doing their job. They lost again. So we got a lot happening. What's on the Rye or Cy docket today?
Yeah, what do you think about that game last night? Before we get into a lot of topics I have for us, but we'll start with the Cy-worthy performance. Another choke job. We talked yesterday, MG, about the choke job that Duke pulled off, or lack thereof, in this Final Four game, and Houston said, "Hold my beer. We're going to one-up you." My goodness, a team I was pulling for. I didn't really have a dog in that race last night, but I did want to see Houston get the win, just for whatever reason. I enjoyed pulling for them out of those two teams, but didn't get a shot off the final three possessions. Just the definition of a Cy.
Big time Cy. I agree. And look, they have that. You could make an argument that's a bigger choke job than the Duke game. I know the Duke game might be, a bigger lead, but this is the national championship game. You got a double-digit lead late. You can't even get a shot off to end the night. I mean, the ball just bouncing down through your fingertips, the whole thing, it's bang. I mean, it was just it was a sad ending for Houston, and you're right. I mean, Houston has been to the national championship 7 times and has never won. And here you go, Florida, third national championship. Of course, they had the back-to-back, years ago. But, poor Houston, 7 times, no wins.
Yeah, it's, and they're just a team, too, that's come up short in recent years. Just a team with a lot of expectations. Obviously, they make the run this year, but I don't know. I guess there's a part of me that feels like this was their one chance. And I would love to be wrong. I have no scientific data to back that up, but it just feels like that was their one shot last night. They had the lead the entirety of the game up until 46 seconds left, and they blew it.
Yeah, they did blow it. And you're right, because this group of guys has been together, and, this is probably your best shot here. It felt kind of like the Phillies not winning, right? This is your last shot, guys. If you don't win it this time, you're kind of beat.
Yeah, we can transition to some Phillies. Listen, the scorching hot start, and we've talked a lot about some of the obviously more popular topics, the lineup, and Sosa's been the recent popular topic. He's out in left field for this game against the Braves in a couple of hours here. But I'm already sick of the switching up of this lineup. I see the lineup today. You see Schwarber now in fourth. You see Harper in the 2-hole. You see Turner now leading off, and I'm just like, for a team that's had so much success, I know I sound like a negative Nancy, and I'm all for it. If they keep having success, I'll keep complaining. Who the heck cares? As long as they keep winning, I'm all for it. But I just feel like if we're looking at this long-term success and what the path to a World Series is, I just don't see this being it, man. How much longer are they going to put up this gig? And when are they going to call it quits?
You talking about, the flip-flopping
switching
of the
lineups. Yep, lefty versus righty. Schwarber's in the 4-hole. Now he's leading off. Turner's leading off. Now he's in the 2-hole. Harper's in the 3rd-hole. Now he's in the 2-hole. I mean, that's not good for anybody. And we can tie in Bohm's struggles early on. I'm not trying to make excuses for Alec Bohm, but I attest this to some of his potential struggles. I just can't imagine this being good for any baseball player when they're talking about their routine and their role.
I don't love it, but what I will say is this. The game has changed so much, and there's so many specialty guys. I mean, you look at Arizona. They did this a couple of years ago, and they beat you. I mean, when the Phillies threw a right-hander, they started Corbin Carroll as the leadoff guy. When the Phillies went with a left-hander, they went with Kendall Marte. So they did it against you and beat you. They changed their leadoff guy based on who was pitching against you. And a lot of these guys, I agree. They probably, especially the Phillies, they have older guys. Harper wants to hit 3. He doesn't probably want to bounce all over the place. They're saying the right things. But I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt because, again, for me, and there's an interesting article up at ESPN.com, Jesse Rogers, about why the Phillies ran it back instead of going big in the offseason. And this is essentially like this group of guys giving them one more opportunity here. And I would imagine that – for me, I'm trying to unlock Trey Turner because I'm imagining that the Phillies are not thrilled with the ROI they've gotten on Trey Turner. I'm not saying he's been bad, but I think they thought he was going to have a much bigger impact than he has had. When you said you signed Trey Turner after going to the World Series, you're thinking, my gosh, you got Trey Turner on this team, and the impact has been meh.
It has been, but once again, I don't believe flipping everything up, on its head, so to speak, is the answer just for Trey Turner, right? And you bring up the article, which was a good one on ESPN about why the Phillies decided to run it back. Okay, then just run it back, man. I feel like a lot of what they're doing right now is because they decided to run it back and not have another splash. And there was a lot of disdain and hesitance from the fan base and media members covering this team about them, quote, just running it back. So it's like, well, look what we're doing. I mean, it's like, well, what are you really doing at the end of the day here? You have an extremely talented team. Turner has not been giving you his ROI, like you said, Mike Gill. But I don't know if this is the answer. Right. And we talked about this like a month or so ago. Yes, the JV Arizona Diamondbacks had to do that with a much less talented roster. I equate it to an NBA team going to a 2-3 zone, like just trying something different for a possession or a quarter. And it worked. Right. But I don't know. I just don't see this being the answer long term for a variety of reasons.
And maybe it's not. But guess what? I think the Phillies have said over the years, our offense has let us down. So why don't we try shaking it up a little bit, and maybe that's the change we need so that we don't go through these elongated streaks in the playoffs when teams can kind of navigate their way through us. If we change it up a little bit, maybe the teams can't navigate their way through us as well. If, hey, we're going to pitch Turner differently because now he's hitting 1 as opposed to 2, and we're going to pitch Schwarber differently because he's hitting 4 as opposed to 1. Little things like that might be just enough for them to scratch out an extra run or two or not go through these elongated streaks where they are so hit or miss. And listen, they're 7-2 to start the season.
Yeah.
I think until they start to have when they go into a little problem, they lose 5 out of 7 or 6 out of 9, then you can start to say, all right, enough with this lineup. Let's get to something more secure or locked in.
Yeah, I mean, listen, a 9-game sample size, you're not going to really learn anything. You can take away small learnings and small findings. Obviously, the Dodgers series it's only in April, but that's a big deal. And how they won 2 or 3 and finding different ways to win, all of that stuff matters, but it also doesn't really matter, right? So, I almost see them winning in spite of this, and I hope I'm wrong. Maybe they continue to do this throughout the year and they continue to be an elite dominant team. They have a unique opportunity with this series against Atlanta, MG. You can go up 9 games by April 10th over the Atlanta Braves in your division. That's a big deal. So these early series matter.
I started the show off with that today is that if you sweep this series, they're 9 games back. And think about this. Not only are they 9 games back of you, San Francisco, L.A., the Padres, they're all off to scorching hot starts. And if they continue to win too, the Braves, you might just be saying the season's over for them. I mean, they might not be able to recoup and get back into this thing. But, obviously the Phillies can put a big distance. Now, what I will say is this. The Phillies have had a unique history of losing to teams that make the playoffs with 83 wins or 85 wins. I don't want to see the Braves be that team that gets off to this terrible start, gets hot enough, they get to the playoffs, and then faces you in the playoffs with 83 wins. Then everybody's overlooking them, and then that's the year that they bite you after you beat them twice when they beat you by 18 games in the standings.
That's sort of become baseball, hasn't it? I mean, that's why we've grown to love it and almost hate it at times, because they're playing every day for 6 straight months, and it's like, well, who's hot in the last 8 days? I mean, that's what it feels like. I know it's not literally that, but it does have that feel to it.
You're not wrong. I mean, baseball. Listen, it's the next day pitcher. This pitcher controls the game, and that's why it's like people are like, oh, the guy had 5 hits yesterday, and of course you sit him the next day. He's not going to get 5 hits against a different guy. I mean, this guy's right-handed, that guy's left-handed. This guy throws 98, this guy throws 94. I mean, these pitchers are totally different because you get 5 hits on Wednesday doesn't mean you're following up with 5 hits on – I don't understand. If people ever played baseball, it's not easy to get 5 hits every day. And just because I got 5 hits one day doesn't mean that you should plug me right back in the lineup the next day because, hey, listen, they're going to say this guy had 5 hits yesterday. I ain't pitching him the same as I did yesterday. Things just don't carry over that much as we think they do, especially in baseball.
No, I mean, how you see the ball coming off one pitcher's hands is a benefit to you. It could be a detriment to someone else, just to your eye and compared to someone else's eye, right? Like, it's just...
It's every sport, though, right? I mean, you see it in basketball. You get a guy, he goes 6 of 8 from 3. He doesn't go 6 of 8 from 3 the next day. I mean, you see a team. Who was it in the NCAA? It was Alabama. They shot the lights out. They scored like 115 points against BYU, and then the next game they played Duke and were ice cold. So one night you were shooting the lights out, and then the next night you're not.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's a great analogy. I mean, it's those things are not sustainable in sports. The ebbs and flows of it is the only consistent, is the inconsistent part of it, right? I mean, baseball is the defining sport of that. Is, you fail 70% of the time, you could be the greatest of all time. So the ebbs and flows of it are just inevitable. That's the only inevitable, right?
Right. Well, that, and listen, you could be 3 for 3 with 3 homers in a game, and you come up your 4th time and you strike out. I mean, it's just that's the breaks in baseball.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what does that mean for this Phillies team? I don't know. It sort of goes back to where we started for me, just to maybe put a bow on it. That's also why I feel like they're doing too much. Is because baseball is really simple, no matter how complex we try and make it. And I know you can say that about every sport, of course, but especially baseball. And with a team as talented as the Phillies, sometimes I just sigh a little bit at how much they've been trying to do this early on in the first 9 games of the season.
I mean, generally, I don't like the shifting of the lineup. I would be on board with that, but I'm also, because of this team's failures multiple times, I am willing to say I'll give you the benefit of the doubt because I don't like the results that this lineup has given me. And if you came back with the same team, you got to do something different. It's almost like their way of saying we made a free agent move. Well, what did you do? Well, we changed the lineup a little bit.
Yeah. Sosa in left field. Do you like that? I know we talked a little bit about Sosa yesterday. I'm sure you've talked about him today, but your thoughts on that?
I got no problem with it, Ryan. I mean, I'll tell you a couple of reasons why. One, and I'm not the biggest, hey, you got to play Sosa every day, but I do think you got to find creative ways to get him into the lineup more. And you're so left-handed, if playing him in the outfield gets a right-handed bat into the lineup like today. You got Rojas in center. You've got him playing left. So that takes 2 left-handed bats out of your lineup against Chris Sale. That's a huge plus. I've seen the Phillies play Rhys Hoskins in left field. I've seen them play Pat Burrell in left field. I saw them play Pete Incaviglia in left field. I've seen them play guys way less competent and capable than Edmundo Sosa will be out there. Listen, he's a shortstop. He's the most, diligent player on the field. He's one of the best defensive players this team has. He can catch a fly ball in left field. So I have no problem with him playing left field, and it's a great way to get more more from him as a depth utility player, what we were talking about. I don't need to see him every day, but this is another way to get him maybe a 3rd game a week or a 4th game a week instead of saying, hey, he should just play every single day. No, he could play left field twice. He could play second base once. He could play, all over the place. So it just adds to why I like having a player like that on my team.
And I will go against a lot of what I've been saying so far throughout this conversation. Just as you were going through all that, this thought popped up in my head, which is about manager Rob Thompson. And, you know, jump in if you disagree with this, but so far throughout his brief stint as manager of the Phillies, one thing that he's always been is consistent. And that's not the right way I want to phrase this, but he's not been typically the guy that we've seen so far this season, where Sosa's in left field one day. Now this Schwarber's batting cleanup. Now he's batting leadoff, right? Like everything that I've been complaining about, you could actually tie in manager Rob Thompson. And I look at it as a positive in that he's changed massively, because the playoffs, he's stuck with, maybe to the fault and the detriment of the team. He's stuck with the same lineup. He's stuck with the guys in the same roles, right? And so far this year, it's been nothing but chaos, to be dramatic. Is that fair?
He's done a couple different things this year. You know, he bunted the one game with Marsh. And Marsh couldn't get the bunt down. He bunted with Rojas. Rojas did get the bunt down. Yes, he's done a couple different things that we haven't seen from him. I'm interested to see how he kind of manages his bullpen right now with the way Romano is struggling so much. But he's kind of leaning on right now Alvarado as the closer, it looks like, in that role. But, yeah, I mean, he's evolving. Look, when he got this job, he had never been a manager. I think they flashed it up on the screen yesterday, Sunday's game. He has the third highest winning percentage in Major League Baseball of all the active managers. He wins almost 58% of his games. People have problems with Rob Thompson. And I always say, like, to me, people have a problem with Rob Thompson. I think they think the manager has way more hand in wins and losses for a baseball game. For me, what the manager provides for the team is almost like basketball to some sense, is that they set the culture, the mindset. You don't want a player thinking that if he makes a mistake that the manager, I had a guy messaged me on X the other night when the Phillies had, I guess it was 2, 3, 4, and they all struck out. It was a big inning chance. I think Harper was hitting 2 that day. I think he struck out, Bohm struck out, and I think Schwarber struck out. 1, 2, 3. And the guy messaged me on Twitter or X and said, "This is where I need Rob Thompson to show some." And I said, that's not helping anybody. The guy's hitting, doesn't want the manager getting, chewing his ass out for striking out. He knows he screwed up. He knows he made a mistake. And my experience is, you don't get screamed and yelled at for making a physical error. That's going to happen. It's the mental error that you're like, dude, you need to get your head in the game here. You're going to strike out. It's going to happen. You think that Bryce Harper wanted to strike out in that spot? Do you think he needs Rob Thompson, chewing him out because he struck out in a big spot like that? That's no way to manage a team for me. And that's why I think Thompson works, is because the Phillies are not afraid to make mistakes, and then they learn from them. That's one of the reasons why this team battles back. When they get down in games, they never kind of give up, because they're not getting chewed out for getting down in the game.
Yeah, and even how he's just carried himself, Rob Thompson, and this has been well documented from players like Bryce Harper and everyone else on the Phillies, is, he's the complete opposite of Girardi, where Girardi, he may not have chewed out Bryce Harper either, but Girardi was, you felt his tenseness and his anxiety, and his demeanor was bad for the clubhouse, right? So it just didn't even allow things to be loose and loosey-goosey for the Phillies, where Topper is the definition of that. So I think that's a big deal. I will push back slightly, though, and say I think the manager has a huge impact come playoff time in those decisions that are magnified. But I also agree with you where in the pros, especially with a team like this, it's more bigger picture as well. It's sort of hand in hand.
And listen, I think a lot of people have a really hard time with the mindset of, it's whether or not you as a fan believe that the manager's making all these decisions with his gut, or is he being told, are the analytics making this decision? I think the lineup, is predetermined before the game with a collaboration of the manager, the GM, and Dave Dombrowski's not the GM. He's the president of the team. They have a GM named Preston Mattingly. Does anybody realize that he's actually the GM of the team? It used to be Sam Fuld. But I think they get in a room before the game, and I think they collaborate on, hey, this is what the analytics say today. Let's go with this guy. This guy hits 0 for 8 against this guy. He's not playing today. I think there's a lot of that. I think there's a lot of predetermined moves that are made in a lot of these games. And I think a lot of fans just do not want to come to terms with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Phillies have also done a good job of the balancing act of the two, right? Like, I don't believe like today's lineup was just let's enter it into an Excel spreadsheet type of a lineup, right? Like Sosa's playing well. They found a way to stick him in the lineup, try him out in the outfield, right? So I do think there's things as well that they obviously use analytics. That's just an undeniable fact, but they're also able to use just the gut feel of it a little bit too, which is why we love Topper, I think.
I am a little surprised they played him in left field today. I thought they would use Kepler in left because Kepler has actually faced Sale before. Stott has not. Marsh has not. So I figured he would play Sosa at second base, Kepler in left, and Rojas in center. He decided to just go, basically instead of Stott out of the game, he kept Stott in the game and put Sosa in a new spot. And I also felt, look, with Wheeler pitching, there's a possibility that he wanted Sosa a good defense. Now, Stott's a very good defensive second baseman too, but just, hey, a guy who's a little bit more comfortable playing the infield as opposed to never playing the outfield before, so we'll keep Kepler. I was a little surprised by the fact that he just threw him in the outfield today, that's all.
Yeah, well, I like it just based on the fact of let's learn what he can do out there, right? Like in a big moment in a playoff game, maybe we need to sub him in the outfield for whatever reason, and let's get him some reps now on April 8th, whatever day it is. So.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I just said I was a little surprised. That's all. I thought Stott's never faced Sale. I figured, all right, he's never faced him. All right, we'll play Sosa at second. We'll put Kepler in the outfield, and Rojas plays center field. But as I said earlier today, you got Rojas playing center who can kind of help Sosa out there covering some ground in the outfield.
Yeah, which is nice to have that sort of insurance policy if you're someone like Sosa. But Sosa seems like he can do it all, and I'm sure he's going to have no trouble out there, knock on wood.
All right, segment 1 in the books. We got another one coming up. There's a lot still to go for segment 2 tonight. Stick around, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. By the way, some news on Ranger Suarez. I'll have that coming up on the other side, and an update on Andrew Painter and what he will do on Friday. That's still to come. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live video on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. Subscribe, like, and be a part of the show. Right now, it's your last chance to qualify on the Sports Bash. Caller 7, 609 573-3776, 609-573-3776. Caller 7, you are at this year's Sports Bash Eagles Draft Party at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City at Top Golf Swing Suite, where you can win a pair of Eagles Club Box tickets for a game at Lincoln Financial Field this season. You can also win an overnight stay at Ocean or Ocean Casino Resort gift cards, tickets to shows this summer at Ocean Casino Resort. You must be present to win at our Eagles Draft Party at Ocean Casino's Top Golf. Free parking for every qualifier. Caller 7 right now, 609-573-3776. Good luck. Your next chance to qualify is on game night. At 5:30 on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN. Our latest qualifier, who just got in, Frank and Brigantine. Frank and Brigantine, what's up, buddy? There's a beer at a brewery called Where's My Car, Frank? That's the name of the beer, I think. Yesterday was National Beer Day. I'm trying to find the news that I just got. Oh, Ranger Suarez. I teased that on the other side. I got the Ranger Suarez news here.
What's up with
Ranger Suarez will make his first rehab start on Thursday in Clearwater. He is expected to pitch 3 innings. And then on Friday in Clearwater, Andrew Painter will make his first rehab start. He is expected to go 2 innings or 35 pitches, whatever comes first, I guess. So if you're in Clearwater, you get to see Suarez on Thursday and Painter on Friday, and you get Weston Wilson tonight. So, listen, Clearwater, it's low A baseball. You don't get to see this a whole heck of a lot, but you're getting Weston Wilson tonight, you're getting Ranger Suarez on Thursday, and you're getting Andrew Painter on Friday. So some news on Suarez, good news there. They get Suarez back. I'm interested to see what ends up happening with him. Do they put him in the bullpen? Do they put him in the rotation? What happens with Taijuan Walker? And then, of course, we're going to be keeping our eye on Painter for a couple months here. He will not be up here till probably July.
What do you think they should do? We can start with some of those questions. I think they're interesting. I mean, we've touched on them in recent past, but start with Ranger Suarez and the triple effect that he could have, that he will have when he returns.
I'm very intrigued. Like, I don't, to be honest with you, I don't know what I think I think that Painter will have a huge impact when he finally comes up. I'm a little disappointed that they're handling him with such kid gloves here. To me, if he's ready in June, I'd bring him up in June. But they're going to hold him off for as long as they can. They said sometime mid-July. Fine. But what happens to Suarez in the meantime? Do you bring Suarez back? Let's say Suarez comes back and he's ready to pitch in May. Is he a starter for May and June, and then he gets shipped to the bullpen? I'm not sure what's the best way to go about here. Do you just say to Suarez, hey, we're an arm short in the bullpen. We want you to come back because you've been hurt. I don't know that we can count on you. And I think Taijuan Walker is more comfortable as a starter. And then if Walker just completely is on – now, he'll pitch tomorrow, I think, is Walker's turn, right?
Believe so. And that's the tough thing with Walker is what if he starts to give you the performance that we got out of him last outing, consistently, right? Like he's not the Walker that we think he is so far in Philly. And he's like, okay, this is the guy that we were hoping for. I don't know what that means for Ranger Suarez. Maybe you throw Ranger and Walker. Like they have a lot of options. That's one thing they do have on the mound, for better or worse. But
yeah, no doubt. And listen, I don't know. Like Suarez has been, and remember, Suarez is a free agent at the end of the year. Well, the Phillies might want to, suppress his value a little bit by not having him start.
Walker's value?
No, Suarez.
Oh, okay. Why would they want to do that though?
Well, if he doesn't have as a starting pitcher, he's going to want to make big money. But now, if he's not starting because he's hurt, it's going to be tougher. Maybe the Phillies say, "Hey, we'll bring you back on like a 1-year deal or something like that." I know it's far fetched, but they might say, I don't know what they do with him. Honestly, I don't know if they just say, "I can't trust you anymore as a starter. You've been hurt too much." All of that plays.
Has he? I mean, would that be fair? Fair is not the right word, but I think he's proven enough that they could trust him, or they could at least attempt to trust him, right? Like I don't know. I don't look at Ranger Suarez, and yes, he has been injured way too much in recent past, over the past 12, 18 months, but I think he's also proven enough on the healthy side as well, right? To at least say, all right, let's give him a couple starts, and then we can sort of assess everything when it's all healthy.
Hey, listen, the guy he was the first half of last year, he was in the Cy Young Award conversation.
Right.
But after that, he was not healthy and then was never close to that guy the rest of the way.
Yeah. I think it's, if nothing else, even if some of that lack of trust exists, which I think would be a little surprising. But that's a human nature. It very well could be there. I think you at least throw him out there for a couple of starts just to confirm those trust issues or to disprove those trust issues. But to throw Painter into this mix as well, I think I'm not really going out on a limb saying this, but I think they've mishandled him since day one. I mean, you talk about wearing kid gloves with Andrew Painter. Like, my goodness, dude, are we ever going to see this kid pitch? Like, what? I know he's not healthy now, so it's that's obviously the be all end all. But come on, I feel like they've been handling him like Joel Embiid a little bit.
I agree that it's a little ridiculous. I mean, I know the guy's he's still young. Like, we forget that Painter, I think, is still only 21 years old. I mean, because he's been the last
feels
time
like he's 40.
Pitched, you're right. The last time he pitched, okay, in 2022, he pitched Double-A. He got promoted from Single-A to Double-A in 2022. He pitched 5 games at Double-A. He then pitched 1 game in 2023 in spring training. He pitched a game against the Orioles. After that game, he said his elbow was bothering him. They didn't make the decision for Tommy John surgery until like July.
Yeah.
So he missed all of 2023 and then all of 2024 with this injury. And now here we are in 2025, and he's just now getting on the mound on Friday.
It has like a Steven Strasburg feel to it a little bit. I know he hasn't had that hype, but like you just hear it's like Andrew Painter. Well, this year it's the Painter year. No, this year's the Painter year. This year's the Painter year. Dating back to 2022, and it is crazy when you get reminded of his age, MG. I mean, he does feel like he's 21 going on 41 at this point.
You're right. I mean, and listen, the big thing that Painter has to decide, I mean, the Phillies have to decide on Painter is when he's ready to go, do you just take the kid gloves off and let him pitch? I mean, is he going to be on a pitch count? All that stuff. At what point do you just say, look, Andrew Painter is here, and he is just like everybody else. He's going to pitch 6 innings, 7 innings, whatever it is.
He's going to be on a pitch count. I mean, that's going to be the case, but I think at some point they just got to take the training wheels off. They got to take the bumpers out of the lane, and they got to let the kid get on the mound, dude, for the Phillies. Like, not for Single-A, Double-A, or Triple-A. It's I don't know. It's a little bit crazy, but all right, we'll move on to a couple other things that I wanted to try and work in. Can we get a pulse check? You and I haven't talked Eagles draft at all. I know you have the draft party coming up, but I know you talk football at 4 every single day. But anything change in your mind for Eagles draft priority? Tight end position has gained a lot of traction in that realm. So where do you stand right now as far as Eagles need in the draft?
A lot of players. I think that defensive tackle, someone to replace Milton Williams is a priority. I don't know if it's the number one priority. I think an edge rusher, someone to replace Josh Sweat, that's a priority. I don't know if it's the number one priority. I think they need to get another safety, someone to replace Chauncey Gardner-Johnson or at least compete in that room. I think you got to start thinking about corner now. You got to look at who's going to replace Darius Slay. I know you brought in Adoree Jackson, who's a veteran, and you probably say, okay, worst case scenario, you have a veteran player we can put out there. You got Kaylee Ringo, who, we talked a lot over football at 4, McMullen. They would like Ringo to win that job now that Darius Slay's not here. So I think all those positions. I think you got to think about a linebacker. I mean, if Nakobe Dean, we're just anticipating that Nakobe Dean's going to come back from an injury that was pretty gruesome sounding. I mean, his kneecap was like up in his thigh. I mean, that doesn't sound fun. So I don't know that he comes back at the same level. So that's something I think you got to keep in mind. On the offensive side of the ball, I think you're pretty solid, but you got to start thinking about the tight end situation. What's going to happen with Dallas Goedert here? So you're right. I mean, you're in this little lull period between now and the draft, but the draft's a big spot here for the Eagles because they lost so much. They brought in all of these like low risk, high reward type of players, but you have a really good chance to refill the coffers and keep this team stabilized for like another 5 to 7 years.
Nakobe Dean's an interesting point that you bring up because he's been a guy that I've always enjoyed and felt highly on since even before they officially gave him that starting job. But he's a guy that's dealt with a lot of injuries early on as well. He's not been a guy that's been able to consistently stay on the field, whether that's fair or foul. That's just sort of the reality. And that injury ain't no fun, like you said, that he's coming off of. So, should they prioritize that position a little bit more? It also already feels like Dallas Goedert's not returning. I don't know why it has that feel, but that feeling has existed for a while, and it's only picked up traction recently leading up to this draft. And maybe that's not going to be the case, but I've been a mainstay on this thought that tight end needs to be a priority, maybe
No
the
doubt.
priority.
No doubt. And what they did this offseason, signing two guys, and I don't know that I don't think either one of those are replacements for Goddard, but I think it's just a sign that they needed more depth at that position. But I wouldn't be shocked if they took a guy much like they did with Goddard in the second round.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more thing to add, just to go off the CJ GJ, I sigh at that as well. This is a guy that we all sort of sighed at him leaving the first time. You bring him back, and we all have seen his impact on the roster versus not on the roster. And, I hope it doesn't come back to be a sigh-worthy type of a departure, but right now it feels like that.
12 interceptions in his 2 seasons. He had 6 this year and 6 the first time he was here. Playmaker, no question about it. Obviously, I think the off-the-field stuff just kept piling up, and they were just tired of it, man. I think they said, look, we won a Super Bowl with this guy. We got to move on.
Yeah. Obviously that's the case, and we're not close to that situation. It just didn't feel like the off-the-field stuff was that loud, but, I guess it was. I trust them, obviously.
Yep,
but
I obviously, for the trade they made, too, I mean, they didn't save a lot of money for this year, cash-wise, so it had to be a culmination of, now he went on, social media yesterday and had the little video where he was like, the stuff that you guys say about me when I'm not around now, I mean, like, it just seemed like something seemed to be fractured there.
Yeah, no, it did. A couple more minutes before we have to peace out. I wanted to work in this, which is, we always had interesting debates and conversations regarding the NBA head coach. I know we talked a lot about Topper earlier in this hour for the Phillies and his impact day-to-day, managerial impact day-to-day. Weird timing, man. The Denver Nuggets, they decided to fire Mike Malone, NBA champion head coach, with the Denver Nuggets. They've disappointed this year, but the timing makes no sense. I side at the timing of that. I thought he deserved more.
I got to be honest with you. I was shocked to hear it. I mean, there's 3 games left in the year. You're literally saying with 3 games left in the year, you think you're better off firing your championship coach rather than seeing if the team can rally and, get on the same page again in the playoffs. I mean, this is a guy that 2 years ago won a title for you, and this goes, back to, like, this guy won a title, and you're like, he's not important. See ya.
Yeah, and now it's like, okay, so it's Adelman, the young Adelman, is now the interim head coach there. So let's say they have some success in the playoffs, right? Like, I don't think it's fair to say he, leads them on this run. The NBA is just so weird with their timing on these firings. I think it's a big issue in the sport right now.
We've never seen this in the NBA, though, where you're
not
3 games from the end of the season, and you're like, dude, you're out. I mean, even Memphis 2 weeks ago, you were like, really?
Yeah.
But Denver, look, I know their season is not where they wanted it to be. They're in the 4th spot, though. I mean, this season, it's not like they're in the play-in round. I was pretty shocked by this, but I think it just furthers the point of, look, they looked at him as the coach and just said, you're not making an impact either way. So something must have been going on. The complacency must have been an issue.
I did see that the standings are misleading, that they're actually in 7th after some tiebreakers. The tiebreakers just haven't factored in yet or caught up. But, either way, 4th, it is a big difference.
That's because there's 5 teams that have 32 losses. They have 1 extra win than everybody else. But in reality, every one of those teams all have 32 losses. They've played 1 extra game, so they're a half a game up on the Clippers, the Warriors, the Timberwolves. But it's nuts. They're all tied.
Yeah, they're all tied, and they lose that tiebreaker. So right now it says, they're in 4th, but they're actually in 7th. That's what Wendy was saying earlier. So it's a big difference.
And they've lost 4 straight. So I guess they decided, hey, and by the way, Memphis, who pulled the plug on their coach, is one of the teams in that mix. So another team that was like, hey, what's going on here? So you don't usually see this in the NBA. By
No,
the
you
way,
don't.
for the Sixers, they're playing the Wizards tomorrow night, which
Yeah.
is your last real chance to screw this up. The Sixers have listed Justin Edwards and Quentin Grimes, along with Kyle Lowry and Gershon Yabusele, as questionable. Lowry is out. Yabusele is out.
Mm-hmm.
So those two guys will not play against the Wizards.
Yeah, Lowry worked his way back into the lineup a little bit here at the end of the year. Yabusele, he's played the most games this year out of any 76er. It's
I
pretty
hope
sad.
they can find a way to keep him.
I love him. I agree with you. It feels like the answer to that's going to be no, but maybe they figure that out because I think he could be a great piece.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's something wonky with the Sixers can only offer him so much, so he can make more if he hits on the open market than what the Sixers can offer him. But I hope they can find a way to get him out there or keep him.
Yeah, he's been a lone bright spot in a dark, dark year.
Dark year. That's for sure. All right, there was another edition of Rye or Cy here. We'll break them all down again tomorrow. Phillies tonight, Wheeler and Sale tonight. That's a 7:15 start. There's the baseball. Did you get that from your Babe Ruth days?
Yeah, man. Smith, I think my only game ball that I ever received. So there we go.
Nice. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do it again tomorrow. See you, man.
Later, man.
All right, there you go. Rye or Cy here on the Sports Bash. Each day we kind of debate some of the top topics that are happening all around and gives us a little chance to break it all down NBA style. Yeah. Michael Malone fired today. He won a championship 2 years ago. You stink now. The coach stinks. It's his fault. We're getting ready to get out of here. Chuck in Marmora chimes in, says, Painter will be on a pitch count. He'll also be on an innings count. Bringing him back later negates the need to sit him down at the end of the year a la Strasburg. I do agree with that. I'd rather have him sit the first half of the year so that he doesn't have to go through the innings limit late in the year. But I don't know. I just think they're kind of overdoing it. My, personal thought there. I could be wrong. We'll get ready to get out of here with the Bet365 play of the day. It's next here on the Sports Bash. All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, and live video on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. Well, it's time for the Bet365 play of the day. I know we had a loser last night. We tried with Houston, and we failed.
You went with Houston. It didn't work out. But, Mike, you still are 143, 96-1. So you are still a winner overall.
That's pretty good. Tonight, I like Grizzlies Hornets under. Take the under there. In that game, 228.5. I'll go with the under.
Smart.
Yeah, the Hornets I don't think have any desire to win.
No, and the Grizzlies are still reeling from firing their head coach.
So that's my Bet365 play of the day. Hey, don't forget, one more chance for you to qualify for our draft party. That's coming up tonight during game night. And then tomorrow morning, 6, 7, 8 a.m. hour, listen for your cue during Unsportsmanlike with Evan, Canty, and Michelle. And you can get bonus chances to enter during Unsportsmanlike tomorrow morning in the 6, 7, and 8 o'clock hours. Congratulations to all of our qualifiers today. And don't forget, we'll do it again tomorrow right here on the Sports Bash. Cam Rogers giving us a little Masters coverage on who to bet, how to bet, and who to play in the Masters, which starts this week on Thursday. Mike McGarry's back tomorrow. Football at 4. All that and more right here on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN. All right. Have a great night, everybody. Good game tonight. Phils, Wheeler, and Sale. Settle in, buckle up, and let's see if the Phillies can knock the Braves down to 1-9 on the season. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great night.